Chapter 1861. The Heaven Holy Dan's pill formulas were nothing to the Dan God in blue costume, so he dared to take out the Heaven Holy Dan's divine medicines in front of everyone. Those medicines were indeed the few that Chen Qiang was familiar with. Wu Qianqian also took out some medicinal ingredients. Other than Tyrant Body Cloud Ear, Chen Qiang did not recognize any other medicinal ingredients. Even the Dan God in blue costume did not know what kind of medicinal ingredients they were. Chen Qiang was very suspicious, and really wanted to ask Wu Qianqian what those things were that he wanted to use them to refine Badi Dan. Wu Qianqian had opened the lid of her pill furnace, so she could easily see if there was anything inside. The inside of the furnace was empty, and her furnace was not a good one either, far from the Dan God in blue costumes. The Dan God in blue costume had already started a fire to refine pills, and many alchemists were watching with wide eyes, hoping to see through the pill formula. However, even if they knew the sequence of the ingredients, they would still not be able to grasp the opportunity. This was because they were unable to clearly sense the control of the fire in the Dan God in blue costume's pill furnace. Only if they could clearly see the interior of the furnace and feel any changes, would they be able to steal the pill formula. Therefore, in the eyes of many alchemists, Li Zonghan and the others were just making trouble for no reason previously, because stealing pill formulas was simply too difficult. Wu Qianqian's refining methods were astonishing, because she had placed the Tyrant Profound Ear and other medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace at the same time. Dan God Yi said in a low voice, "I knew there was a Tyrant Body Cloud Ear inside, but I don't know what the other medicinal ingredients are. It's hard to believe that this little girl was the one to create this pill formula. From the looks of it, she doesn't seem to be under any pressure. She is facing a Dan God in blue costume, and this kind of calmness is not something an ordinary alchemist can possess. It seems like she has a great background." The Rosy Clouds Dan Saint said. Wu Qianqian had obtained Chen Zhang's inheritance and was using the original source refining S from the heavenly alchemy. The Dan God in blue costume had already put in all of the divine medicines, and as they neared the end, he began to reveal a portion of his medicine aura. Just like Chen Qiang had guessed, even if it was a pill god, if he used a normal method of refinement, he would still have to rely on leaking medicine aura S to maintain the balance of multiple types of spiritual energy in order to fuse multiple types of medicine aura. Chen Qiang estimated how much more he had left based on the medicinal aura released by the Dan God in blue costume. As expected of the famous god of pills, it's already quite rare for him to produce 2 pills this time. Chen Qiang was secretly surprised, but he knew that Wu Qianqian would definitely win. It was just that his speed would be slower by a level. If it was Pill Saint who refined the Heaven Holy Dan, there would be only 1 pellet per pellet and it would take a very long time. However, Dan God in blue costume only needed half an hour to start condensing the pellets, and his speed was many times faster than other Pill Saints. "All right," Dan God in blue costume smiled. Although his smile was very faint, it was very confident, as if to say, "It's just a little girl, I can win easily." Wu Qianqian smiled lightly. Dan God in blue costume is indeed impressive. To be able to refine a batch of Heaven Holy Dan so easily, this little girl is impressed. Dan God in blue costume laughed. "I will wait for you, don't worry." Wu Qianqian was really not in a hurry. She continued to concoct pills with her eyes closed. The 2 Pill Saints standing behind Dan God in blue costume looked proud, as if they were the victors. Li Zonghan on the other hand, looked at Wu Qianqian with a look of despise, as he sighed in his heart. It took Wu Qianqian an hour to open the pill furnace. Her refining speed was 2 times slower than Dan God in blue costumes. When she opened the furnace, Li Zonghan laughed coldly. "Conducting a challenge to the pill god was truly overestimating yourself." LV Kilian replied, "Of course we know our standards. There's no need for you to say anything, and we don't have him to challenge the Dan God in blue costume." When Wu Qianqian opened the pill furnace, he used his spiritual sense to scan inside and found that there were actually 4 Badi Dan S inside. The effects of Badi Dan were better than his own Heaven Holy Dan. He admitted this point, so Badi Dan were also slightly better than his own Heaven Holy Dan. If a holy pellet of this level was not a pellet god, it would be very difficult to refine 2 of them at the same time, let alone 4, but Wu Qianqian had refined 4 of them now, even though the time was a little slow. "I've lost." Dan God in blue costume sighed, then cupped his hands towards Wu Qianqian. "Admirable, admirable." With that, the Dan God in blue costume left, and then he heard his stern voice, "The 3 of you are not leaving yet." Li Zonghan and the 2 Pill Saints did not manage to react at all. Dan God in blue costume had actually admitted defeat himself, and had left in such a hurry. No one understood. It was only when Wu Qianshan took out 4 batty Dan-s and gave them to LV Kilian did they finally understand. Dan God in blue costume could only refine 2 pellets per pellet, but Wu Qianshan could refine 4 pellets per pellet. Although the refining time was 2 times that of Dan God in blue costume, if Dan God in blue costume wanted to refine 4 pellets of Heaven Holy Dan, he would still need the same amount of time as Wu Qianshan. Therefore, Dan God in blue costume lost a lot in this aspect. The news of the Dan God in blue costume being defeated had spread like wildfire, causing the reputation of the shop to increase. Although there was no name for the shop up till now, everyone had already remembered it. Because Wu Qianshan had won against the Dan God in blue costume, once the Dan God in blue costume left, everyone started to have enough money for the holy pellets. In just half a day, all of the holy pellets were sold out. Selling so much all at once. It seems like I'll have to wait a while longer if I want to sell out the next time. LV Kilian returned and counted the divine money. Chen Shang anxiously ran back to the shop and went upstairs. He anxiously asked Wu Qianshan, "How did you refine the batty Dan? Those herbs are not right." Wu Qianshan chuckled. "Those medicinal herbs have changed forms by Sister Kilian, I have quite a few spare ones here." Medicinal ingredients could also change their form. Chen Shang looked at LV Kilian with some disbelief. "It's the alive slain method, it's not as simple as you think it is. Besides refining the spirit liquid, it has other uses." LV Kilian laughed. "I had expected this to happen, so I did it earlier. I only changed the color, it won't affect the pill refining." Chen Shang gave LV Kilian a big thumbs up, praising him. "As expected of the future female emperor of the divine nations, you are truly not bad." LV Kilian snorted. "If I didn't have to, I wouldn't even bother using such a method. If I had the ability, I would directly use my fist to greet him." Long Shui said. "Little scoundrel, luckily you did not do anything, that Dan God in blue costume was hiding in the crowd, it would be troublesome if he caught him. Now that we have a fortune, we don't need to be in such a hurry. We will be concocting pills for ourselves." LV Kilian said. "Wait until news spreads out, we will refine another batch in half a year, and we will continue to raise the price." Chen Shang leaned on a chair, and laughed. "You are now the big sister, you can arrange everything yourself." Hua Shangyu smiled tenderly. "We worked hard for almost 2 months and already earned more than 600 million. The Dan God in blue costume tumbled, but the other pill gods did not dare to laugh at him, because they were very clear about the situation at that time. If it was them, it would be the same. Some of the pill gods also thought of something, because a long time ago, there was also such a powerful alchemist, and that alchemist held the heavenly alchemy. Chapter 1862. At night, Feng Yuji sneaked into the shop. Chen Shang and the rest were still busy working on their own things, and had some medicinal ingredients to concoct into pills for themselves. Chen Shang, Wu Qianshan and Hua Shangyu were all concocting pills in the same secret room, while Shui Shenxian and Lu Menger were studying the method of refining the divine book. Only Long Shui and LV Kilian, who were still in the hall, could make their plans. "Sister Feng, you should also leave Divine Female Palace and join us." In his heart, LV Kilian had always hoped that he could be with them, because Feng Yuji had the strength of a god and was very trustworthy. "If I suddenly leave Divine Female Palace, Howmaster will definitely be suspicious. I have already determined that there is a problem with Howmaster," Feng Yuji said. "But don't worry, although there is a problem with the Hallmaster, I can handle it, I just do not want to cause too much trouble." Feng Yuji smiled at LV Kilian. "Even though I'm in the Divine Female Palace, I'm still one of you. I'm in the Divine Female Palace, we can look after each other like this." It was almost midnight, so Chen Shang and the others came out of the secret room. As long as they were not in a rush, they would refine pills during the day and rest during the night. "Hello, Sister Feng." When Shui Shenxian and the rest saw Feng Yuji, they greeted him. Feng Yuji smiled and nodded. "You've earned so much divine money today, and yet you're still so busy. Did this little scoundrel force you to do something?" Chen Shang poured a cup of fruit juice Long Shui had made for himself, took a sip, and curled his lips. "Don't wrongly accuse me, this is all our own doing." Feng Yuji laughed. "I was just speaking casually. Now that all of you are here, I'll tell you guys something that's more important." Quote. Chen Shang and the few girls immediately sat down and listened seriously. But he is hiding in a dark place, and just today afternoon, Hell Devil Emperor's men appeared in a city to carry out a massacre. Furthermore, he escaped, enraged the penalty heavenly god, and personally captured that guy to force him to reveal some secrets. Chen Zhang's expression changed, because they were currently very weak and these few women were all close to him. If the Hell Devil Emperor were to find out, it would be very dangerous. Feng Yuji saw Chen Zhang's worried expression and said, "You don't have to worry, Divine Female Palace has already activated the strictest defenses, so we can sense it if anyone from Hell Devil Emperor enters. But in order to prevent any accidents, it's better for you guys to not show yourself." Lu Meng'er asked, "Sister Feng, you said that penalty heavenly god forced some things out, do you know what it is?" Feng Yuji nodded. "I know, penalty heavenly god has already told us. The main point is that highest devil god supports Hell Devil Emperor, so Hell Devil Emperor has already secretly mobilized his power, and is prepared to oppose all divine palaces. He wants us, the various divine halls, to be more careful." Shui Shenxian shook Chen Zhang's hand. She knew clearly that Chen Shang had been fighting with the Hell Devil Emperor for many years, and that after his defeat, he did not retreat. Instead, he obtained the support of the highest devil god and made a comeback. LV Kilian asked, "What kind of city is the city that was attacked?" "Devil-killing divine city." Chen Shang took a deep breath. "Is there any news about the Hell Devil Emperor, such as whether or not he is hiding in a secret place to develop his skills?" Feng Yuji shook his head. "No, penalty heavenly god said they will work hard to find it. If they find it, they will inform us and have the various halls send their strongest war gods over." Hell Devil Emperor's return was obviously to take revenge on all divine palaces. This was indeed important news. Feng Yuji returned to the Divine Female Palace, Chen Shang and the others returned to their rooms to rest. Late at night, "Kilian, how could you be willing to come with Meng'er?" Chen Shang embraced the two girls, his two hands respectively placed on their soft chests as he gently caressed them. Lu Meng'er bit Chen Zhang's arm lightly, while LV Kilian's face was flushed red, still immersed in the afterglow of the wild joy. "I thought Sister Feng told us that you want to participate in that damn Supreme Divine Palace trial." Lu Meng'er spat out lightly and used all his strength to pinch Chen Zhang's chest. His voice was full of blame. Sister Feng said, "That's very dangerous, why do you always have to do this kind of thing?" LV Kilian lay on his side, with a leg under Chen Zhang's waist. He bit his lower lip and sighed, "When are you leaving?" With things having progressed to this point, she couldn't say anything. Feng Yuji had already sent a sound transmission to her and Lu Meng'er regarding how dangerous the Supreme Divine Palace's trial was. "In another month, I will condense more purple pearls with you." Chen Shang smirked and pinched the two women's chests. "It's time for us to go to elder sister Meng'er." "Unsatisfied little scoundrel," Lu Meng'er scoffed. Chen Shang was going to participate in the Supreme Divine Palace's trial. He didn't tell Wu Qianchen and Shui Shenxian about this matter, he only told Lu Meng'er and LV Kilian. Chen Shang happily spent a month with the few girls, and also refined many holy pills. Right now, Lu Meng'er and Shui Shenxian had already started their closed-door cultivation. Wu Qianchen and Hua Shangyu, on the other hand, continued to refine pills, and would cultivate in separate sets of closed doors. "Is that okay? Leave without telling them?" LV Kilian frowned and looked at the door of the two private rooms. "It's fine, it used to be like this." Chen Shang sighed. "In any case, it won't be for long, and in less than 10 years, we might be able to meet again. It used to be like this for the past 5,000 years. Although Lu Meng'er, Shui Shenxian and the other girls were already used to parting ways, LV Kilian wasn't used to it, because she and Chen Shang had only gotten used to it during this period of time. LV Kilian, who had always been a strong person, had tears rolling down his cheeks. "Take this divine money." LV Kilian handed over the 600 million god money he earned previously to Chen Shang. "I want half." Seeing LV Kilian cry, Chen Shang wiped away her tears and smiled. "Big sister, take good care of them. If Sister Feng comes, help me bid farewell to Qianchen and Shangyu, and let her pass some medicinal formulas on to them." "Yes." LV Kilian gave 300 million to Chen Shang from the storage bag and left the rest to them. Long Shui laughed tenderly. "Sister Kilian, you don't have to worry, I will take care of this little scoundrel." Chen Shang scolded. "I'm taking care of you, little naughty dragon." After bidding farewell to LV Kilian, Chen Shang left Goddess City. He did not leave using the transmission array, but went out of the city gate, and started to walk according to the Supreme Divine Palace's trial map, preparing to head towards the trial grounds. Half a day after leaving the goddess city, Chen Shang met a group of true gods who were quite strong. Most of them were upper true goddess, with a strength of more than 100. Li Zonghan is also here. Chen Shang was shocked. He went closer to look and immediately understood why Li Zonghan had appeared. It was because Yi Qin had come as well. What are they doing here? There are more than 10 super profound goddess, are they fighting in groups? Chen Shang did not continue to get closer as he watched from afar. Chapter 1863. This group of people did not come from the Divine Female Palace, because the people inside the Divine Female Palace were all women and their clothes were special as well. Furthermore, most of the people in front of them were men, and there were only around a dozen women, but they were not Divine Female Palace disciples. This Yi Qin should be coming out by herself. What is she doing? Chen Shang was curious in his heart. He waited for more than an hour, but nothing happened as he walked in the direction of the trial grounds. Ever since he had dripped his blood on the Supreme Divine Palace's trial tablet, there was a map in his mind that would guide him to the trial grounds. Right now, he only had one direction, and he did not know where the trial grounds were located. Chen Shang ran wildly around the wasteland for a few days but still didn't encounter anything. This place made him feel like a dead land. Although it had a decent amount of divine energy, it did not have any signs of life. It was either a desert, a wasteland, or a bare rock mountain. Just as he was feeling bored, he suddenly heard a burst of running noises coming from behind him, like the stampede of 10,000 beasts. He immediately looked behind him, and just as he had expected, there were a large number of vicious beasts roaring and rushing at him at the same time. A billowing cloud of smoke and dust swept towards him like a sandstorm. These are special god beasts. These kind of special god beast cannot change their shape, but they possess power as strong as a true god or profound god. The group of special god beast you are looking at right now, their strength should only be at the level of a lesser true god. Long Shui said. There were still quite a lot of memories within the incomplete god soul that she had awakened. There are over 1,000 of them, and they are all of different species. I don't think they're migrating. Chen Shang looked at the surging dust and suddenly saw several figures flying out. This surprised him. Because of this group of people, there were two that he was more familiar with, Yi Qin and that Li Zonghan was inside. At that time, he was still curious about what they were doing, but now, he seemed to have realized that they were waiting for this group of special god beast. No, they are not hunting special god beast, they are a. Chen Shang realized that there were only a few tens of people who rushed out of the sand, and even a few profound goddess were missing. They're on the run. Chen Shang immediately understood that this group of strange beasts in Yi Qin were being chased by something powerful and terrifying. Quick, hide first, Long Shui said. The special god beasts are extremely sharp. Even if they sense danger approaching, they would flee ahead of time. For such a large-scale escape, it looks like there really is some kind of terrifying person chasing after them. Chen Shang activated 72 changes and turned into a small rock as he hid far away, quietly waiting for the group of special god beast, Yi Qin and the others to leave. Roar! An extremely shocked beast's roar suddenly came over. It shook the ground till the stones jumped up, causing Chen Shang to be even more shocked. What's this? Chen Shang asked Long Shui. They seem to be wind-scared beasts, but they are also one of the strange beasts. Their strength is like gods, and their shape is like the wind. Long Shui's voice was filled with fear, facing him with caution. Do not let this guy discover you. No wonder Yi Qin and the others ran. With so many profound god dead, forget about profound god, even if it was a lower heavenly god, he would probably have no choice but to run. This kind of wind-scared beast was too powerful. Chen Shang saw a thick cloud quickly drifting past in the sky. It was the wind-scared beast, and when it drifted past, it would occasionally let out a roar. Only after more than an hour had passed did Chen Shang return to his human form, and he took a deep breath. This place is already very far from the goddess city. What exactly are Yi Qin and that Li Zonghan running out for? They should be here to hunt special god beast. The blood of the special god beast should be able to be used to refine divine pellets. Yi Qin's father is the pill god, and Li Zonghan also needs to gather the materials for the Dan god in blue costume. There should be a lot of people here with Yi Qin, but they were all called here by the Dan god Yi, not the divine female palaces. Chen Shang nodded, and continued to head towards the trial grounds. He was not really planning to head there for the trial, he just wanted to get closer to that place, and then cultivate there to become a profound god before going there. The direction he was heading towards was different from the direction Yi Qin and the others were running in, so he was not worried about running into wind-scared beasts. Chen Shang ran for nearly an hour before he suddenly realized that something was following him. If it wasn't for him releasing his spatial detection domain, he wouldn't have noticed it at all. Shui Yi, have you noticed that something is following me? Chen Shang asked. I didn't find anything. I'll use the heaven tour method to go take a look. After long Shui Yi had awakened the remnant soul, his consciousness was still extremely strong, a bit stronger than Chen Zhang's. However, if he met someone with a strong concealment ability, it would be hard to detect. Chen Shang slowed down her pace, and before long, Long Shui realized that something was following him as well. It was just that she did not see it clearly, because if the spirit she released wanted to approach him, it would somehow dissipate. This guy isn't strong. I don't know why he chose to follow you, but he doesn't seem like a human. Long Shui said. Although he was currently of no threat to Chen Shang, being followed by something made Chen Shang feel extremely unhappy. At night, Chen Shang entered a forest. He finally left the desert, and arrived at a place with mountains and water. The stars in the sky were very bright, making the forest not very dark. Moreover, there were many flowers and plants that could release a red glow at night, causing the forest to be colorful. It's time. Chen Shang locked onto the thing that had been following him for an entire day, and suddenly teleported over. When Chen Shang went over, he only saw a white light suddenly shooting out, jumping towards a big tree. Surprised that this thing could predict his path, he looked at the branch of the tree and finally saw what it was. It was actually a very cute little white cat, with a pair of snow-white wings. Meow meow. The little white cat cried out a few times, flapped its wings and flew around the big tree a few times, then stopped on top of the tree branch. What the hell is this? Although his strength isn't great, his life-saving methods are quite good. Chen Shang then saw a layer of sparkling and translucent white light appear on the little white cat's wings. It was very beautiful. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that the white light was slowly entering the feathers of the wings. These rays of starlight, this little thing is currently absorbing starlight. Chen Shang was surprised. The God's realm's starlight was special, it was not easy to absorb, and even if he absorbed it, it would be very difficult to refine out the power of the stars. Long Shui said, it really is this kind of thing. This little thing should be called a star and crescent beast, and it has a very mysterious connection with the star moon. It can easily absorb the power of the star moon, but I don't know about anything else. In short, it's not very strong. Little thing, come here. Chen Shang took out an low-grade holy fruit. This holy fruit was called the Star Spirit Saint Fruit. It only grew after absorbing a large amount of starlight. To Chen Shang, it was just a kind of delicious fruit. After Chen Shang took out the Star Spirit Holy Fruit, the little white cat meowed and flew over with its normal beautiful white wings. It landed on Chen Zhang's wrist and bit the Star Spirit Holy Fruit. Chapter 1864. Long Shui did not know much about Star and Crescent Beasts. He only knew that it was a very unique divine beast with very weak power, but it had other abilities. Little thing, why are you following me? Aren't you afraid that I'll stew you? Chen Shang patted the little white cat's head and laughed. The little white cat meowed a few times as if it was angry, because it heard that Chen Shang wanted to stew her. You're not allowed to eat me, I'm not tasty. The little white cat actually spoke. Its voice was very soft, like a little girl's voice. She was really worried that Chen Shang would eat her, so she quickly jumped onto the tree. Come down, I won't eat you. Why are you following me? Chen Shang laughed and shouted. The little white cat flew over and laid on Chen Zhang's big hands. She said with her thin voice, I want to work together with you. Cooperate with what? Long Shui also ran out, but the little white cat was not scared. She seemed to have long known of Long Shui's existence. I can find the divine medicine, but it will be very dangerous along the way. It will be difficult for me to get to that place myself, but you can, I'll guide you there. When the time comes, we'll split the loot evenly, and then you guys have to bring me to a safe place. The little white cat had already jumped into Long Shui's embrace. Long Shui hugged the cute little white cat, fondled it lovingly and said to Chen Shang, this could be her special ability that allows her to find godly medicines or something similar. The little white cat said, Star told me. That's why I know Star also told me that there was a big monster chasing after me. However, I dodged it and found you, so I followed you. Long Shui and Chen Shang suddenly realized that the wind-scared beast that was chasing after Yi Qin was attracted by this little thing. Where is the divine medicine you were talking about? Chen Shang asked. You trust me that much? Of course not, that's why we have to make a star contract. The little white cat lifted little claw up and a spirit grain array appeared. Give me your hand, the little white cat called out softly. After Chen Shang stretched out his hand, he made a star contract of some sort with the little thing. Take me with you to that place as soon as possible. Chen Shang was in a hurry to go to the trial grounds. But that place is very dangerous. Don't blame me if you die. The little white cat squatted on Chen Zhang's shoulder. Chen Shang tried to let the little white cat enter into the ring, but she refused to go in no matter what. In the end, she could only stay outside, and her spirit sense was extremely strong, even stronger than Chen Zhang's spatial sensing domain. Little thing, do you have a name? Long Shui asked. She wanted to give him that kind of long and unpleasant name again. Of course, I'm Yue. The little white cat's words made Long Shui think of a few names that would die from childbirth. Chen Shang carried Yue and the little kitten, and continuously teleported through the forest at an extremely fast speed. According to Yue's guidance, Chen Shang took her and ran very far away from their original path, but he didn't care about that for the sake of the divine medicine. It's not as dangerous as you say. It's been a few days, and I'm safe. Chen Shang sat on top of a rock and looked around at the rubble. There had obviously been a great battle here, and all the rocks of various sizes had flown over from the rock mountain in the distance. Yue flapped her wings, circling above Chen Shang, and said, only that place is dangerous, and all along the road, it's very safe. But since you control the power of space, it'll be very easy to obtain that divine medicine, so you don't have to worry about this, and this is also the reason why I chose to cooperate with you. Chen Shang was currently resting. Normally, he would only need to rest once after exhausting 30% of his energy. In the past few days, Chen Shang had seen Yue's unique ability. First of all, it had an extremely strong sensing ability, and she could clearly sense it from far away. Then at night, she could quickly absorb the power of the moon and stars to cultivate. However, she couldn't let herself have a strong power and could only enhance her own special ability. In addition, her speed was extremely fast. It wouldn't be easy for even Empyrean gods to catch her, because she had an extremely strange ability that allowed her to predict what would happen next. It seemed as though this was the power of the law of time. As long as she had enough time, she would be able to use the terrifying speed to escape. This was also the reason why she dared to run around. Yue, what kind of divine medicine are you holding there? If it's an ordinary divine medicine, you should be able to deal with it yourself, right? In the days that Chen Shang and the little white cat had been together, he already knew that this little thing looked cute, but it had lived for a long time and possessed a very high intelligence. Using the method you humans use, that is a zongpen medicine, a tree with 4 flowers on it. I don't know what you humans call it, but it is very useful. Yue replied, and the tree's circumference is extremely dangerous. Chen Shang required 4 hours every time she rested in order to ensure that she had sufficient energy and was in her best condition. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on top of a giant boulder to rest. Suddenly, he heard Yuer's panicked yell, quickly hide, someone is approaching. Chen Shang immediately carried Yue and hid under a large boulder. A few rays of light flew past in the air at a very fast speed, but Chen Shang still caught the figure of a person. Don't go out, there's more coming from behind. Yue had just finished speaking when dozens of shadows appeared behind her. They flew past her like a gust of wind and were much slower than the others. After a while, Yue said, sorry for the trouble. These guys are heading towards the location of the divine medicine. Those fruits are about to mature. Could it be that the tree was discovered a long time ago? Chen Shang frowned. The ones flying at the very front should be pill gods, and one of them is the Dan god in blue costume. They are all extremely powerful. Amongst the few tens of people that flew past, he saw Yi Qin and Li Zonghan. We still have some hope. These fellows won't be able to obtain that divine medicine that easily. Let's hurry up and hurry up. Yue shouted, although your speed is slower than those in front of you, they will still need some time to open up a path. There's still time. Chen Shang brought Yue with him and sprinted forward. However, he said that the direction he was going in was different from those few pill gods, so Yue wanted him to take a detour around it. At night, the starlight was rather dim, but Yue seemed extremely excited. It's right in front. In front of her was an ancient forest full of giant trees. Each of the trees was 100 feet tall, their trunks thick and stiff. Countless treetops covered the earth, covering the sky and covering the earth. There were a large number of rattan vines in the forest, and they emitted a faint green glow. Chapter 1865. As long as one stepped into the ancient forest in front of them, it would mean that they would face extremely terrifying dangers. However, Chen Shang, on the other hand, was a person who liked to take risks. Be careful, use your own spatial energy to protect yourself. Don't let yourself be discovered, otherwise it'll be hard for you to escape. Yue instructed Chen Shang as she flew back and sat on Chen Zhang's shoulder. As Chen Shang entered the forest, he immediately felt a trace of a weak and peculiar energy floating in the air. He guessed that this kind of energy could produce a spiritual sense, and the moment something appeared in the forest, it would alarm the master of the forest. Little cat, just how strong are the guys in this forest? Chen Shang asked softly. He had the space domain, so his voice wouldn't spread outside the domain. Very powerful. He is very famous among you humans a long time ago, so you should quickly call him Wind-Scared Beast. I was chased by this guy for the sake of breaking into this place earlier on. Yue also knew that the space domain could be isolated from the outside world, but she still spoke in a very soft voice. Chen Shang and Long Shui had encountered the Wind-Scared Beast before, and Yi Qin's group along with the large group of Special God Beast were being chased by the Wind-Scared Beast. So it can turn into a cloud. Have you seen what the original body of this Wind-Scared Beast is? Chen Shang increased his pace and walked straight ahead. Occasionally, he would hear the sound of wind whistling past him, and the glowing vines within the forest would sway back and forth like ribbons of light. It was extremely beautiful. I've seen it before. His main body is just a bunch of things. Last time, he only blew a gust of wind to chase me. If it was his main body that attacked me, I'm afraid I would have been in danger. Yue's small voice was filled with fear. The wind he blows is the same as his main body, it still has a strong attacking power. Deep into the night, Chen Shang carefully snuck forward. The wind in the forest seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. Chen Shang didn't feel it from the space domain, but he could see the leaves of the huge trees swaying, the glowing grass and the fluorescent flowers on the ground were all blown to the side. When that guy moves, the wind-scared beast is usually quiet. As long as it moves, it can create wind. Judging from the degree of this wind, it's probably because those gods from before made him feel threatened. Just as Yue finished speaking, a roar came from above. Roar! The deafening howl pierced through Chen Zhang's body, almost scattering his space domain. Violent gales swept through the forest, and the rocky ground was blown out from the depths, sweeping away all the flowers that were emitting light. Some of the giant trees, branches and leaves were snapped. Chen Shang stabilized his space domain, but was not blown away. However, he was still shocked, because he was right inside the forest, very close to the wind-scared beast. What a terrifying fellow, my space domain was almost destroyed. Chen Shang took a deep breath and continued to release spatial energy to strengthen the space domain, in case the wind-scared beast continued to go crazy. Yue said, looks like the wind-scared beast really got angry this time, he rarely roars in this forest, those few gods should be close to his lair. Not long after, the wind-scared beast's earth-shaking roars came out again. Chen Shang was already prepared, so he wasn't like last time, where the energy in his domain was almost dispersed. Chen Shang began to teleport. Yue had told him that it was very likely that the wind-scared beast was fighting with Dan God in blue costume and the others. Therefore, he had to quickly get closer to the divine book to pluck the divine fruit. Li Zonghan, Yi Qin and the others had followed along to pick the divine fruit. If they went too late, the divine tree would probably be gone. Relax, we will be able to get them soon. The wind-scared beast is not only ourselves, the group of brats might not be able to get their hands on them immediately. You need to stay calm and not panic, only then can you control your spatial energy well and take away those divine medicines. When Yue saw Chen Shang desperately trying to teleport forward, she warned him. Chen Shang did not panic. He was rushing towards the divine tree to ensure safety because he did not want to make this trip for nothing. As he approached, he could see a wave of purple light in front of him. It illuminated the forest along with the green light coming from the giant tree, making it even more beautiful. It's right in front. Chen Shang could already see the huge tree emitting purple light, as though it was a king standing in the middle of the forest. Just like what Yue said, there were only a few divine fruits here. This divine tree only bore divine fruits once every many years, and the quantity was extremely few. Only 4. Chen Shang had already seen the divine fruits if there were 4 purple stars hanging above the big tree. The wind-scared beast had already left the tree to deal with the few pill gods, while the wind-scared beast's men stayed there to fend off Li Zonghan and the others. After locking onto the 4 divine fruits, Chen Shang used his spatial energy to grab them in the air and place them into the serene dragon ring. It was also at this time that the wind-scared beast let out a thunderous cry, as if it had already sensed that the divine fruit had been taken away. "Hurry up and leave," Yu Er anxiously shouted. Just as Chen Shang took the divine fruit, he saw Li Zonghan and the rest rushing towards him. They knew that the divine fruit on the tree had been taken away, causing their eyes to turn red. They waved the divine weapons in their hands and roared as they rushed towards Chen Shang. In just a moment, Chen Shang had disappeared from in front of them, but the wind-scared beast seemed to have gone mad as it roared non-stop. Chen Shang quickly distanced himself from the divine tree, and the few pill gods were furious when they found out that the divine fruit had been taken first. They didn't even know who had come to take it away, yet they were making them take the blame. Withdraw. The divine fruit was no longer there, and the few pill gods did not continue to fight with the wind-scared beast. They had not been able to defeat it for so long, which meant that the wind-scared beast was very strong. Li Zonghan and the others retreated with hatred. They had come all the way here and had been hunted down by special god beast all the way, hence they had consumed a lot of medicinal pills. However, in the end, they suffered an infuriating result. Chen Shang had already distanced himself from the forest, but he could still hear the heaven-shocking roars that resounded in the sky. "Hurry up, let's leave this place and talk later. Those gods can't leave even if they want to right now. It's no joke to completely enrage the wind-scared beast." Yue urged Chen Shang not to stop, in case he met with any unnecessary trouble. Chen Shang ran frantically towards her trial grounds. Yue did not say anything, she just needed to stay far away from the forest that frightened her. 5 days later, Chen Shang stopped because in front of him was a huge pool of water. It wasn't like an ocean, and it was extremely calm as well. The calm water surface looked very dark, so dark that it made one's heart tremble, as if they would be engulfed by an endless darkness if they were to jump in. Chapter 1866. Chen Shang and Yue stared blankly at the Black Lake for a while, before realizing that they should be distributing the gains from before. The divine medicine taken from that forest was a type of fruit, which could be eaten directly or refined into pills. It was just as Yue had said, it was a Zongpin medicine, and was also one of the most precious divine medicine that required 100,000 years to mature. Previously, Feng Yuji had imparted a large amount of knowledge to Chen Shang on medicinal pellets, so he was very familiar with the purple divine fruit. It was called the 9 strange divine fruit. It contained 9 different kinds of abilities, which could only be revealed after combining them with other kinds of divine medicines, and required a recipe to refine 9 different kinds of strange divine pellets from the 9 strange divine fruits. "I'll take the 2 of you." We agreed on that. Chen Shang placed the fist-sized 9 chi divine fruits on the ground. Yue, this little white cat, didn't seem to be as big as these 2 fruits. She excitedly fluttered her wings and hovered around the 2 fruits. Looking at her character, she resembled a greedy little dragon like Long Shui. Yue smiled charmingly and said, "Let's have a happy cooperation." Chen Shang nodded to her and asked, "Are you going to eat these 2 fruits now?" Yue shook her little head. "Of course not. I want to eat again when I break through." Just as Chen Shang wanted to ask her how to hide these 2 fruits, a silver collar suddenly appeared on her neck. Yue meowed twice, and the 2 9 chi divine fruits disappeared in a flash. The silver ring that suddenly appeared on her neck was clearly a storage magic treasure, and it could even be considered invisible. Chen Shang didn't even notice it before. Chen Shang and this little white cat worked together very happily. This little white cat was also a very good divine beast. As long as he was together with her, he might be able to find good divine medicines. This made him suddenly not want to be separated from the little white cat. You should be lonely wandering alone. Do you want to be with me?" Chen Shang asked. Yue flew around Chen Shang a few times, thought for a while, and answered, "All right, but don't put me in the ring on your finger. I can't stay in that place, I'll die." Chen Shang laughed. If Yue could follow him, it would be fine, but he was still curious. "Why would you die inside the storage magic treasure?" Yue lay on top of Chen Zhang's head, and said, "My physique is rather special. If I enter this kind of refined storage magic treasure, the space inside would collapse, and I would also collapse with someone, to death, unless it's a divine object birthed from heaven and earth, otherwise I wouldn't go in." Chen Shang looked at the endless black water body, floated up and said, "Yue, I should be fine underwater, right?" Do you know what kind of place this water body is? I don't know. At the moment, I don't feel any danger. Just keep moving forward. UAA had been wandering solitarily for many years now, and she was quite satisfied with the rare encounter with someone like Chen Shang, who wasn't considered too bad a human either. Therefore, she also wanted to be together with Chen Shang right now. After obtaining the 2 9-rank divine fruits, Chen Shang made Long Shui eat one of them. Long Shui, who possessed the ability to live through sleep, went to sleep after eating them, and didn't know when she would wake up. This was after she had eaten an entire middle-rank divine fruit. Where are you going? Are you wandering aimlessly? UAA could see that Chen Shang seemed to be heading towards something. Chen Shang did not immediately reply. He was considering whether or not he should tell UAA. He was worried that UAA would be scared off after knowing about Supreme Divine Palace's trial. Speak. UAA raised her voice, but no matter how high her voice was, it was still soft and delicate. Let me tell you the truth. I want to participate in the Supreme Divine Palace's trial. It will be more dangerous. But before the trial begins, I will let you leave first. Chen Shang had already teleported countless of times, so he could not see the shore. He and UAA were both floating above the black-colored lake, and looking down, the deep black lake looked like a gigantic bottomless pit. When UAA heard this, she immediately mewed, why didn't you say so earlier? Chen Shang sighed. You've indeed heard of the Supreme Divine Palace's trial. Forget it, I won't force you. After all, that's a place that's very dangerous. UAA scoffed. You make me sound like I'm afraid of death. To others, the Supreme Divine Palace's trial is indeed very dangerous, but I am not afraid, and furthermore, I understand the trials of the Supreme Divine Palace very well. If you had told me earlier, I might have helped you prepare so that you could pass this trial more easily. You're pretty bold. Profound God isn't even strong enough and you dared to undergo this trial. Chen Shang didn't quite understand her words, and asked, It's not too late for me to tell you now, you can still help me prepare, and I don't plan on going to the trial right now, I plan to stay near the trial grounds to cultivate for a while longer. UAA flew from her left shoulder to her right shoulder, saying, It's too late. You have already entered the trial ground, so this should be the first stage of your trial ground. After you step in, the lake will disappear, which means you have already entered the trial space. What? Chen Shang cried out. He didn't want to enter the lake so early. He now understood why this lake was so strange. He didn't expect it to be a training grounds. The trials set up by the Supreme Divine Palace are very mysterious. The trials are filled with all sorts of strange things, so even if you ask those who have passed the trials, the experience gained would be useless to you. UAA used her little claws to scratch Chen Zhang's shoulders and said, Don't worry, although your strength is weak, this trial is based on your own strength, you have a huge advantage even if you come so early. Chen Shang suddenly became curious. UAA, how do you know so much about this trial? UAA snorted. Don't ask. This is my problem. You only need to know that I will help you. Chen Shang felt that this kitten was probably the one that came out of Supreme Divine Palace. It could be one of the Supreme God's pets. Why do I have such a great advantage when I'm weak? Before I entered, many people said that I was too weak and that there was no way I could pass the trial. That's because those very powerful Empyrean gods had all died in the trial. Chen Shang heard from the mouths of the penalty heavenly goddess that their disciples and sons were all extremely outstanding. Their strength was around the same as theirs and some of them were even stronger than theirs. UAA said, What do they know? It's not like they've personally trained before. Of course, those that have entered this trial are the kind of people that are unable to break through bottlenecks. It's also because of this that they haven't been able to return, so for all these years, there have been very few people that have passed the trial. In fact, the key point of the exam is to keep on breaking through during the exam. For example, your first trial is to match your current strength, so you need to break through at the first trial, because the next trial's content is to match your strength after you break through. If you can't break through in the first trial, even if you can withstand the next trial, you won't be able to pass the third and fourth trials. Now, Chen Shang understood that if it was really as UAA had said, it would be extremely difficult for those at the peak of the God realm to break through. Chapter 1867. Unknowingly, Chen Shang had entered the trial grounds and started the sovereign's trial that was filled with unknown dangers. Not long after he flew above the Black Lake, a large group of people suddenly appeared where he and UAA were. These dozens of people had a huge round plate under their feet. This was a transmission array plate, and it was a very high-level one, capable of teleporting. The people who appeared were the pill god, Li Zonghan and the others. Strange, this should be the place, but there's no one around here. An old man with a long beard was on top of the formation plate, gently stroking the snow-white squirrel on the back of his hand, which was squeaking. Did your precious snow spirit mouse sense it wrongly? The Dan god in blue costume said, it would be fine if we come over, but the other party definitely doesn't know about it. The bearded elder shook his head. Carefully sense it. There is still the aura of the 9-dust deity fruit remaining here. There can't be any mistake. So it turned out that when Chen Shang gave the 2 9 oddities divine fruits to you, the snow spirit mouse that was tens of thousands of kilometers away had sensed them, and a few pill gods had brought Li Zonghan and the others over. Could he be hiding in space? Dan God Yi looked at the wasteland in front of him and frowned. What a strange feeling, is there a hidden space ahead? After Chen Shang entered the Black Lake disappeared from the land and was separated from the space of the god's realm. Zonghan, you two stand guard here. Only you two recognize that guy. You must find him, the Dan god in blue costume said. Kanur, you should stay here as well. Let's first contact the deity who is familiar with the power of space and have them come and take a look. Dan God Yi patted Yi Qin's shoulder. Yi Qin was a little unwilling, because she did not want to be with Li Zonghan. This time, the few pill gods had allied themselves, and that was why she was together with the disciples and children of the other pill gods. Ever since Chen Shang knew that he had entered the trial, he did not dare to wander off, because he was not ready yet. That map still has a long way to go. I just walked a short distance before I started the trial. Chen Shang complained, because it had deviated from his plans. Everyone says that you have a great advantage. You are only a true god now. If you can pass this first stage, then you will be able to advance one stage. The next stage will be much easier. Yue said. That map is the map of the training grounds. Follow the map to the end, even if you pass the trial, you will be able to enter the Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang could only brace himself and charge forward. He had no way out at all. Then what do I do now? Chen Shang asked. How can you help me? Yue made Chen Shang feel a lot more at ease knowing so much about the trial. Yue said, I can help you see through some of the traps, or else you will have a headache if you fall into one of these traps. These traps are not dangerous, but they are extremely annoying. This type of trap was indeed a trap, and if he could avoid it, that would be for the best. There aren't many who manage to complete the Sovereign's trial, and the majority of those who manage to do so are at the peak of the Empyrean God level. The speed of breaking through is extremely fast, and none of those Empyrean gods survived the trial. Yue replied, right now, you cannot be afraid. You must have confidence, or else it will be very difficult to pass the trial. Chen Shang nodded. Right now, he was much more confident than before, and according to the instructions on the map in his mind, he continued to advance forward. Yue flapped her wings and flew behind Chen Shang, maintaining a distance from him. This was because this kind of trial was extremely dangerous. Even if she went near Chen Shang, she would still be attacked. Something has appeared. Just as Yue reminded Chen Shang, a big black hand suddenly reached out from beneath Chen Zhang's feet, and grabbed onto one of his ankles. Chen Shang wanted to pull his leg away, but he found it difficult to move. At the same time, a cold killing intent attacked him from behind. He immediately used his spatial energy, but to no avail. HMPH. The god-slaughtering sword suddenly appeared in Chen Zhang's hand. He swung the sword and it rapidly rose into the air, shooting out a sword beam that cut off the black hand that was tightly grabbing onto his ankle. He could already see what was attacking him. It was actually a head. This person's hair was pitch black, his hair was wildly dancing in the wind, his teeth were blood red, and his eyes were purple. He was extremely terrifying, and at this moment, he opened his mouth full of sharp teeth. Just as the tongue was about to stab into the throat, Chen Zhang's sword had already struck out, opening up the head and releasing a clear, dang, sound. The head was actually extremely sturdy. Chen Shang still had some lingering fear in his heart. If he had reacted even a little slower, his throat would have been pierced by that needle-like tongue, and if that mouth had bit down, it would have been able to bite his throat off. Chen Shang shouted, and the head was gone. The black hand grabbing onto his ankle was also gone. Yue was just by his side a moment ago, but she suddenly disappeared, causing Chen Shang to feel anxious. Unable to find Yue, he could only continue forward, flying above the black-colored lake. After flying for a short while, he suddenly sensed that something had appeared. This time, there were two black arms coming at him from both sides. Their speed was very fast and they instantly grabbed his wrists, preventing him from moving. After his hands were firmly locked in place, Chen Xiang frowned. He wanted to struggle free, but realized that he no longer had time to think, because two legs had suddenly appeared. One in front and one behind, they were flying towards him. The attack this time was extremely fast, so Chen Xiang was basically unable to do anything about it. His back and chest were ruthlessly sprung up at the same time, and he felt two extremely berserk energies enter his body from the front and back, and even attack each other. The impact instantly exploded within his body, wreaking havoc within his body and causing his internal energy to be dirty, causing him to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. "Bastard, it hurts," Chen Xiang growled. At this time, the two legs came flying towards him again, trying to attack him the same as before. But this time, he suddenly jumped and avoided the attack, and he even struggled free from the two black hands. In that instant, Chen Xiang had used the change in strength from the seven devil-slain Kung Fu, causing his bones and flesh to become extremely soft, and turning his arms into mush. Only then could he quickly pull them out from those two tightly clawing black hands. Fortunately, there is a supreme god bone. Otherwise, that strike earlier would have shattered my body. Chen Xiang locked onto the two arms, waved his sword, and his figure flashed as he flew towards the two arms that were just about to disappear. The change in time and power did not allow the two arms to feel the change in process, and pieces of fragments were already formed from Chen Zhang's swift sword. This guy is really hard to deal with. Chen Xiang looked at the rapidly reforming pieces of flesh and cursed lowly. With a wave of his palm, a silver flame sprayed out, covering the pieces of meat that were about to be combined. "I'll burn you to death." Chen Xiang used the heavenly alchemy and his world creation flame to mercilessly burn that pair of arms. Very quickly, the two arms disappeared into the sea of fire. Just as Chen Xiang was about to retract the flames, he heard a bone-chilling shout, "Give me back my hand." Chapter 1868. Chen Xiang turned his head, and saw the head that was about to pierce his throat with its tongue, but it had a complete body, and only two of its arms were missing. This person was very tall, taller than Chen Xiang by 2 heads. His entire body was black, with sinister muscles, his black hair was wildly dancing, his sunken eyes emitted 2 clumps of purple light, his extremely sharp tongue had already turned soft, licking his pitch-black lips. "Still no return, but I can make you the same as your arm." Chen Xiang kept his god-slaughtering sword. The evil realm being in front of him could separate his body and live, furthermore, he moved it very freely. Even if he was chopped into pieces, he could quickly recover. It was impossible to deal with him with normal methods. Chen Xiang activated his divine power and his body shone with light. A Taiji array appeared under his feet and started to spin slowly, creating a suction force. "Come in and die," Chen Xiang roared. The Taiji array flames beneath his feet suddenly erupted, causing the suction force to become even stronger, and the evil being that was suspended in the air was instantly pulled in by the suction force. The Taiji array started to spin quickly, silver-white flames with a sacred light enveloping Chen Xiang and the evil person. Tai Chi, Chen Xiang and the creation flames were frantically burning the evil being until he completely disappeared. After exterminating the evil being, Chen Xiang exhaled. He had finally seen Yue. During the battle just now, she had suddenly entered a dimension. That guy just now wasn't very powerful, but his speed and strength is extremely terrifying. Yue said, "You sure have quite a few tricks up your sleeves. You've really broadened my horizons." Chen Xiang realized that his strength was still not enough. If he was given a little more time, it would not be so difficult to master a little more devil-killing heavenly god and god-murdering sword techniques. "What should I do to pass the first stage?" Chen Xiang asked. From the map, he could see that there were still many ways to go. "I'm not too sure either. In short, you'll follow the route on the map and pass once you reach the end. So, you have to be careful on the road." Yue landed on Chen Zhang's head. Chen Xiang said, "I'm not going. Can I cultivate first?" Yue shook her head. "No, if you stay here for too long, the previous item will appear again. It will return to the time when you entered this place, and everything will return to how it was before." This gave Chen Xiang a headache. He could not stay here any longer. He did not know when he would be at the end of the road, and he would have to continuously break through bottlenecks. Yue replied, "I have an idea. You can slow down and walk on it step by step. As long as you don't stop, time will not start anew. However, is it helpful to you?" Chen Xiang nodded. Yes. He took out a divine deity, swallowed it and assimilated it into his own divine sense C. Then, he used the heavenly alchemy to refine this divine deity within his own body and absorbed a large amount of divine power from it. If the situation wasn't so tense, he wouldn't have used divine deity this way. He had planned to refine divine deity into a pill, as it would be much easier to absorb. The divine deity he devoured was the divine deity of a true God, and the divine power contained inside was refined by him using the heavenly alchemy and was quickly absorbed by him, causing the ocean of divine power to churn violently within the divine sense C world. Divine sense CS expanded continuously, and their divine soul were then nourished by more and more divine powers, allowing them to absorb a large amount of the essence energy emitted by divine powers. This way, it would be easier to mobilize a large amount of divine powers, allowing them to circulate their divine soul as they wished. Chen Shang walked one step at a time. He walked forward very slowly because he wanted to cultivate. After engulfing that divine deity, it only took him a few days to step into the realm of gods. That divine deity still had many divine powers that he had yet to refine out. Chen Shang stopped cultivating because UAA had said before that before even passing a stage, the matching trial's power would increase. If he raised his cultivation too quickly now, it would be troublesome later on when he couldn't break through his bottleneck. On the road, he met two more evil people like before, and each of them was stronger than the last, especially the last one that almost killed him in the process. I've finally passed this trial. UAA looked at the desert before her and said, so an environment is considered a hurdle. It's getting harder and harder to continue. Chen Shang nodded, and took the recovery pellet, walking forward slowly to recover from his injuries. Continue your training. After Chen Shang walked for a while, his injuries had more or less recovered. They were all flesh wounds, and they could quickly recover. He had not finished refining the divine deity he had devoured, but he knew clearly that the divine deity that he had yet to finish refining would absolutely not help him break through his current realm. Hey, why aren't you leaving? UAA saw that Chen Shang had stopped and was extremely puzzled. Chen Shang had already completely refined the divine deity of the true God, but he had not made a breakthrough yet. I still have the divine deity of a true God. After I absorb it, I should be able to advance to upper true God, but it will take some time, so I can't keep going. Chen Shang said, even if I have to look back at it from the beginning, it would only return to the surface of the lake. The things there are not considered too powerful. Chen Shang thought that if he was able to stop here and break through, even if he had to turn back and go back to the lake to fight the three evil realm beings, he would not feel any pressure at all. UAA curled her lips. Idiot, if you make a breakthrough and return to the lake, then the power of the trial will be compatible with your upper true God. In other words, if you pass the trial of the lake and come to this desert, the power of the trial will be on the level of profound God. Don't be too naive, the sovereign's trial doesn't have such a big loophole. This caused Chen Shang to suddenly stand up, feeling troubled in his heart. He suddenly felt that, even if he had made preparations before, the pressure he was facing now would be the same. UAA said, you need to have confidence in yourself, the fellow inside this desert should have the strength of the upper true God. Even though you are now a true God, you have a lot of means and skills, and you can definitely deal with it. And after walking out of this desert, you need to hurry up and become a profound God, otherwise the next trial will be dangerous. At most, he would only be able to endure through the second stage, and the third stage would definitely be his death, because the second stage would be the strength of the great God level, and the third stage would definitely be much stronger than the second stage. It should be the second stage of the primordial God realm. He still took out the true God's divine deity and swallowed it. He did not know how big this desert was. He could only try his best to step into the profound God realm the moment he walked out of this desert. Otherwise, it would be extremely dangerous for him. This was the Jizun trial. If one wanted to enter the Supreme Divine Palace, they had to endure this kind of severe trial. Chapter 1869. Chen Shang deliberately walked very slowly, because this would give himself more time to refine that divine deity. Right now, he was at the level of a middle true God, and here, he would be facing the upper true God's devil beast. He entered the desert, and after a few hundred paces, Moon flew away from him. Having experienced before, Chen Shang knew that UAA sensed that something was nearing from nearby before she left him. This meant that he was going to fight again, and he had no choice but to stop refining his divine deity now. On the black lake in front of him, what he met were all those evil realm beings with limbs that could separate their bodies, and what appeared in the desert, even if they were not those evil realm beings, they were definitely more powerful than those evil realm beings. Chen Shang waited in place for a while, but nothing attacked him. Furthermore, he could also see Yue, who was flying far away, and if he was attacked by her earlier, he would have been trapped in a special space until the end of his battle. "He's coming," Yue shouted. Chen Shang saw a whirlpool appear in the sand in front of him, and a ray of yellow light shot out from it, revealing a man in yellow. Was a little disappointed. If it was some kind of evil demon, it would be easy for him to deal with using the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu. The yellow-clothed man's eyes were ice cold. When he saw that Chen Shang only had the cultivation of a middle true god, he sneered in disdain. "Being able to make it to this stage isn't bad. No wonder you sent me here. It's actually a guy like you that is undergoing a trial." The yellow-clothed man sneered and took out a golden spear. Chen Shang curled his lips and said, "You aren't very strong either, you aren't even profound god, only upper true god. I didn't expect you to be inside Supreme Divine Palace, but being sent here, you should be just a small role in Supreme Divine Palace, right?" "Shut up, trash. You should have cultivated for thousands of years, and I am only 20 years old. I have grown up in the Supreme Divine Palace since I was young, and have received the guidance of many Supreme Grand Masters, yet you, an ant, actually dare to look down on me." Quote. Chen Shang was indeed shocked. To have such a cultivation level at the age of 20, it was extremely astonishing, causing him to be even more curious about the Supreme Divine Palace. He felt that there should be many such youths in the Supreme Divine Palace. "My mission is to send you to your death. You better cooperate. I don't want to waste too much time on you." The yellow-clothed man waved the spear in his hands and thrusted it forward, the spear tip coming in contact with the center of Chen Zhang's eyebrows. With a flash of light, it was able to pierce through Chen Zhang's head at any time. Chen Shang laughed. "I am here for the trial, I want to pass it smoothly. How about you cooperate with me a bit? You go back, I will continue walking my path, that way we won't waste any time on anyone." "Humph, I really don't want my spear to be stained with your blood." The yellow-clothed man's face was filled with impatience. He activated his divine power and the long spear in his hand fiercely flashed. An extremely strong penetrating force surged out from the tip of the spear. The spearhead also pierced forward at an extremely fast speed. Previously, the spear tip was only a finger away from Chen Zhang's forehead. The yellow-clothed man thought that his attack would definitely succeed, but after he pierced through, he saw that Chen Shang had gradually faded away. Chen Shang had already dodged it long ago, and now he knew that the yellow-clothed man was arranged by the Supreme Divine Palace to stop him. During the trials, there were actually experts from the Supreme Divine Palace coming here. If it was other words from the heavenly god level, then that person would be even more powerful. He understood even more clearly how other people from the heavenly god level came to participate in the trials. A little trick. The yellow-clothed man quickly confirmed Chen Zhang's hiding spot. With a flash of his body, he was already in front of Chen Shang. The long spear in his hands had already pierced through. In an instant, it shot out hundreds of times. The long spear that was fiercely thrusting towards him was like an illusion, the sound of it tearing through the air. If it hit him, his body would definitely be filled with holes. Although Chen Shang dodged, he was also affected by the force. The profound Wu diamond armor on his body blocked most of the powerful god power, but because of this it was damaged and turned into a pile of broken pieces. Although the yellow-clothed man was arrogant, his strength was strong. Chen Shang did not dare to be careless now either. Since this guy is sent by the Supreme Divine Palace, his mission is to stop me from advancing, and he also wants me to die. Since that's the case, if I want to pass the trial, I can only let him die. Chen Shang summoned the god-slaughtering sword, his expression becoming extremely solemn. Even this kind of trash can actually block 90% of my power. The yellow-clothed man looked at the pile of broken armor on the ground and couldn't help but sneer. "Now you know how strong I am. It's better for you to obediently come and die. I promise I won't let you suffer any pain." Seeing Chen Zhang's face filled with killing intent, the yellow-clothed man stopped talking and appeared in front of Chen Shang in a flash. He thrusted his spear and countless shadows flashed as he charged towards Chen Shang like a storm radiating golden light. This attack was extremely fast, even faster than before. Chen Shang was simply unable to dodge, if not he would not have let his profound Wu diamond armor be destroyed earlier. Since he could not dodge, Chen Shang could only block. With a thought, the energy in his body started to circulate, and he used the rigid and soft transformation within the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu, allowing his own body to become extremely strong and flexible. And now, he had allowed his body to transform in a soft and rigid manner, preventing the force from piercing into his muscles from entering his body. Only half of it was bounced off. Even so, he suffered a great deal, but the pain was short-lived and did not harm him. The yellow-clothed man's attack on Chen Shang this time was stronger than before, no matter in terms of speed or strength. Previously, Chen Shang had the protection of the profound Wu diamond armor, but this time, he blocked his attack with his own body. This bastard is really merciless. Chen Zhang's face was expressionless as he activated the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu. His sword stabbed forward, as this was a change in speed that could change the power of laws of time. However, the yellow-clothed man had suddenly disappeared in front of him, unexpectedly dodging his attack. Although he dodged, the yellow-clothed man still had a lingering fear in his heart. He was very clear that if he was a little bit slower, he might have been pierced by Chen Shang. That strange change in time made it impossible for him to see Chen Zhang's moving trajectory. The upper true goddess that came out of the Supreme Divine Palace were indeed extraordinary. If they were from the other divine halls, Chen Zhang's attack just now would have ended the battle. Chapter 1870. The yellow-clothed man had already realized that Chen Shang was extraordinary. If this carried on, not only would it waste a lot of his time, even he himself would probably be injured. Therefore, he had only just dodged Chen Zhang's space-time sword, and immediately attacked. Chen Shang could already feel that his skin was about to be burnt. The yellow-clothed man was extremely fast, and had even used all his strength this time. Die. In that moment, Chen Shang saw the golden spear pierce through his chest, and the yellow-clothed man was standing behind him, the divine spear piercing through his body. The most frightening thing was that the moment it pierced his body, the long spear even used a violent burning power to burn through his limbs and bones. That kind of burning pain penetrated deep into his bones, causing him to uncontrollably roar out. God-murdering sword techniques. Chen Shang roared in his heart. He had practiced the god-murdering sword techniques many times in the past few days, and now, he could finally use it. The yellow-robed man saw that he did not stab Chen Shang to death with his spear and pulled Chen Shang out. The moment he pulled it out, he felt a terrifying sword intent gushing out from Chen Zhang's body. Towards this sword intent, the yellow-robed man felt an indescribable fear, but after that, something related to this sword intent also surfaced in his mind. He immediately understood, this was the god-murdering sword techniques. Ever since Chen Shang had inexplicably unleashed the god-murdering sword techniques, it was difficult for him to use it again. In these past few days, he repeatedly practiced in his mind. At the same time, he was also pondering about the profoundness of this god-murdering sword techniques. Now that he was in a critical situation, he could only place all his hopes on this sword. Just like last time, everything around him had become extremely, very slow. He could clearly see the terrified expression of the yellow-robed man freeze on the ground as he slowly withdrew the spear in his hand. It seemed like he was about to stab again. After using the god-murdering sword techniques, the time and space around Chen Shang would undergo a great change. Chen Zhang's own speed had changed normally, but the yellow-clothed man had become extremely slow. In such a comparison, he was already countless times faster than the yellow-clothed man. The yellow-clothed man seemed to be frozen in front of him. He angrily slashed out his sword, cutting off the yellow-clothed man's arms, then his head. He used his devouring magic Kung Fu to swallow his divine sense C. You want to devour my divine sense C? The moment the yellow-clothed man died, Divine Soul cried out in fear. Chen Shang did not answer him. Even if she did, he would not be able to hear her because he was already completely dead. After exterminating the yellow-clothed man, Chen Shang sat on the scorching sand as he looked at the fist-sized hole in his chest. His heart still had lingering fear. The god-murdering sword techniques is as powerful as the legends say. Do you have the god-slaughtering bloodline? That sword intent just now was very pure. Yue flew over, and a jade bottle was carved in her mouth. Chen Shang knew that the jade bottle was for him, so he reached out to take it off and opened the lid, only to find a blood-red liquid inside. I don't have the god-slaughtering bloodline, I'll tell you about this later. Chen Shang raised the jade bottle in his hand and asked, how do I use this thing? Yue said, drink it directly. This is the sap from a superior grade tree god. It can allow the body of a supreme god bone to quickly grow muscles and bones. One drop is enough, so drinking a lot will be of no use. Chen Shang dripped a drop on his tongue, and very quickly, he felt his heavily injured body quickly recovering. Give it back to me. This is an extremely precious item. Uaa called out softly. It was obvious that she took this bottle very seriously. It was not easy for Chen Shang to use his sword just now either. Now that he was sitting on the ground, he could not even stand up, and his divine power was almost depleted. Fortunately, he had the Supreme God Bone. Adding on the things that Yu had just given him, his recovery was extremely quick. He was able to stand up in a short moment, but he was still swaying. You have to keep walking. If you don't move, you're going to fall back. Maybe you'll encounter someone as powerful as that guy. Hearing Yua's words, Chen Shang could only continue walking forward. Ua replied, tell me about the god-murdering sword techniques. You don't possess the bloodline of a god-slayer, but that god-killing sword just now was so orthodox. This is abnormal. Chen Shang sighed. He had never understood why this was happening. Now that Yu had discovered that he had the secrets of the god-murdering sword techniques, he decided to take this opportunity to ask her, because Ua knew a lot of things that were trustworthy. Chen Shang told Ua about the first divine deity he had fused with, because he suspected that his possession of the god-killing sword was related to that divine deity. Ua, who was originally flying in the air, stopped on top of Chen Zhang's head and fell into deep thought upon hearing this. Ua had known that Chen Shang possessed the heavenly alchemy before, and now that she also had the god-murdering sword techniques, when she found out about the matter of the divine deity, many things surged in her mind. Your heavenly alchemy was obtained from that divine deity, and now, you're even connected to it. Ua muttered softly, and this guy is already dead. Many years ago, there were a few who learned these two taboo magics at the same time, but with the heaven-earth killing method, there's only one left. Ua really knew who the owner of the divine deity was. The white tiger had refined the divine deity into a killing god heart, but it had harmed him, and even Qi had been implicated, making it much better for him. Furthermore, it had brought him great benefits. Who does it belong to? Even though I have completely refined this divine deity, to be able to let me possess the god-killing sword makes me feel very uneasy. Chen Shang said. Ua replied, this guy doesn't belong to Supreme Divine Palace, but the deity's Templar that he resides in is as powerful as Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang was shocked once again. Other than the Supreme Divine Palace, there were actually other powerful divine halls. Ua saw Chen Zhang's surprise and explained, you might not know, but the few shrines that are tied to the Supreme Divine Palace are known as the Three Great Temples. The owners of that divine deity should be from inside the Six Realms Divine Palace. This immediately made Chen Shang and the Six Realms mirrors associated with each other. There are a few things that the Supreme Divine Palace will help you with. The master of your divine deity, even though he was from the Six Realms Divine Palace, was considered a top-notch supreme god in the Six Realms Divine Palace. However, I don't know why he fell in the end, nor do I know where the Six Realms Divine Palace and the Supreme Divine Palace died. I never thought that he would actually die in Nine Divine Kings' territory. How did he die? This guy shouldn't have died. Hearing Ua's words, Chen Shang immediately thought of the god battle inside the profound cold ancient realm. There were many strange things that had happened there, and it was still a mystery up till now. If the Nine Heaven world that Nine Divine Kings created was able to kill the Six Tao's Divine Monarch, then only that Nine Heaven Devil Palace should be able to do it. It was the Nine Divine Kings who ran out of the Nine Heaven Devil Palace to kill him. Yu muttered to herself. Chen Shang asked, Ua, what exactly is the background of Nine Divine Kings? They are so powerful, and they actually have the power to deal with them. Ua shook her head and replied, Highest Devil God is just a little god of the demonic way, responsible for sending the message from the Six Paths Demon Palace. He doesn't have that kind of power at all, and being called the God King is extremely powerful. It was clear that Ua wasn't too clear about how the Nine Divine Kings got trapped inside the Nine Heaven Devil Palace either. But don't worry, your divine deity shouldn't have any adverse effects on you, otherwise it would have already begun. It's just that there are some things that you cannot completely refine, such as the god-killing sword. This is a good thing for you. Yu said. Chapter 1871. Because Chen Shang had obtained that divine deity, he had also grasped the god-killing sword. This was the foundation of using the god-murdering sword techniques. The divine deity gained from killing the yellow-clothed man was also not a small gain. This was the upper true god's divine deity, and that upper true god was still from the Supreme Divine Palace. The divine deity that Chen Shang had placed in the divine sense sea was not completely refined yet, so he could not immediately devour this piece of divine deity. Now, he did not plan to continue devouring the divine deity either, because the rate at which he absorbed it was very slow and the amount of divine power he obtained was very little as well. According to the map, I still have a long way to go. I don't know how many more battles I'll have to fight. Chen Shang looked at the map that appeared in his mind and sighed. Yue squatted on his shoulder and remained on alert. Now she had to be alert. If Chen Shang entered the trap, she would let him return to the original location and start over again. At that time, the enemies they would meet would become stronger. Don't continue walking. We'll take a detour around that mountain. There's a trap in front. Yue suddenly said. In front of Chen Shang was a flat desert, and on the other side was a large stone mountain. It was tall and steep. If not for Yue's words, he would have followed the best route in his mind and wouldn't have climbed over the mountain. Yue could sense the traps set up here, so Chen Shang listened to her and walked towards the group of mountains. It was because those mountains were extremely strange. The higher he climbed, the heavier his body would be, especially when he reached the top of the mountain. It would be extremely difficult to even take a step forward, and when he was going down the mountain, he would even be knocked down the mountain by an extremely strong pressure. Damn, Chen Shang turned his head to look at the barren mountain. He did not want to climb it a second time. After all, this is a trial. After passing it, you will be able to enter the Supreme Divine Palace. Yue laughed. You have to work harder. Not just anyone can enter the Supreme Divine Palace. You have also seen how powerful that fellow who grew up in the Supreme Divine Palace is. He is so young. There are even more outstanding people in the Supreme Divine Palace than him, maybe even in his teens. Chen Shang nodded his head. Even in the God's realm, to be able to reach the upper true God at the age of 20 was already very heaven-defying. 6 realms Divine Palace, Supreme Divine Palace, and one of them is called the Divine Palace. Chen Shang was already very tired after going over that mountain range. Right now, he was walking very slowly, which was equivalent to resting. There is also a shrine called Beast Divine Palace. I escaped from there. I grew up in the Beast Divine Palace since I was young, so I have always been curious about the outside world, thus I ran out here. I have been running for a long time already, and they did not come to find me. It is truly disappointing. Quote. When Chen Shang heard Yue talking about Beast Divine Palace, he had indeed already guessed that Yue came from there. Other than that, he also thought of something else, which was that group of powerful beasts that were killed at that time, which should be related to this Beast Divine Palace. Yue, have you heard of the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise? After Chen Shang came to the God's realm and learned about the matters of the Divine Palace, he had been wondering why there were no beast-like divine temples. Now there was a Beast Divine Palace, and one that could be compared with the 6 realms Divine Palace S and Supreme Divine Palace S. Yue replied, of course I have. It's just that they have all died, and they are the 4 protectors of the Beast Divine Palace during the Supreme God stage. They are extremely powerful, but what happened after that when the Beast Divine Palace S were attacked, they died the earliest. Quote. Right now, the 3 great halls do not allow disciples to leave as they wish, especially the experts of the God level. If not, the 3 great halls will have to fight again. Chen Shang couldn't help but think if he could still come out after entering the Supreme Divine Palace in the future. The reason why the outside world didn't understand the Supreme Divine Palace at all was because these 3 divine halls normally didn't have anyone coming out. However, since he had already entered the trial, even if he did not want to enter the Supreme Divine Palace in the future, he had to pass this trial first. The road was still very long, and as he walked, he refined that divine deity. After he climbed over that mountain, he began his journey of avoiding the traps. With Yue's help, he knew where the traps were located. However, if he wanted to avoid the traps, he would have to walk a difficult path. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. On the way, Chen Shang did not encounter any battles, but on the way, he found it hard to travel, and what made him feel good was that he managed to buy him a lot of time to cultivate. He had already stepped into the realm of Upper True God. This trial still consumes so much time, but it's good too. It can help me become a Upper True God. Next I will need to reach the realm of a profound God. If he only relied on one divine deity, it would be impossible for him to break through to Upper True God. He had refined the yellow-clothed man's divine deity into a pellet, and only after consuming it would he be promoted to this stage. This was also because his cultivation speed was too fast, causing his foundation to be unstable. Thus, he had to cultivate heavenly alchemy frequently to make up for it. Chen Shang took a few months to stabilize his foundation. Fortunately, this part of the journey was filled with trials of avoiding traps, so it was considered very easy. He did not need to fight. It had been almost 3 years since he entered this trial. Long Shui had eaten the divine fruit of 9 wonders and he had been sleeping soundly all this time. Therefore, Chen Shang had only spoken to Yuei about this these past few days. Yeah, it's not a trap this time. There's someone in front, Yu suddenly said. Is it finally here? Chen Shang was not afraid of battles anymore, because he was already a upper true god, and everything that appeared in this stage was the strength of a upper true god. Sure enough, on the sand dune in front of him stood an old man wearing grey clothes. This old man was skinny, his entire face was covered in wrinkles, but his eyes were extremely bright, causing Chen Shang to immediately be on guard. The old man who could appear here was definitely not as weak as he seemed. Chen Shang took out the god-slaughtering sword. Over the past 2 years, he had already become familiar with the god-murdering sword techniques and could unleash it at any time. Young man, don't be in such a hurry to make a move. Do I look that scary? The old man saw Chen Zhang's vigilance and asked with a smile. This is the sovereign's trial. I have to be vigilant. Chen Shang said coldly. The old man nodded. That's right. If not, you wouldn't have been able to get here. I am indeed in charge of stopping you, but if you promise me one thing, not only will I not stop you, I will even give you some benefits. Chapter 1872. Chen Shang didn't believe that such a good thing could exist. In this sovereign's trial, it wasn't so easy for him to be duped. That old man shook his head and sighed, then sat on the hot sand and said, "What I said was the truth. Do you know how long I have been waiting here?" Normally, the ones who would enter the sovereign's trial are all the upper heavenly god, so it's not my turn to appear. It's rare to see someone with the same strength as me. This old man really did not have any intention to fight. Chen Shang relaxed a little in his heart, but he still remained vigilant, afraid that the old man would trick him. How long have you been waiting? Chen Shang could not help but ask. After being sent here for so many years, my only mission has been to stop people from passing by. In other words, if I'm not going to die, then you're going to die. As the old man spoke till here, Chen Shang immediately retreated a few steps. Young man, don't be nervous. Even if I kill you, I will continue to wait here, wait for someone with a strength similar to yours to stop him. I cannot leave this place for eternity, so even if I kill you, I feel that there is no meaning. I feel that there is no meaning in living now, but I want to die in a way that is more meaningful. The old man waved his hand, signaling to Chen Shang not to worry. Chen Shang did not continue speaking. I grew up in the Supreme Divine Palace, but I violated the rules there, so I was punished like this, and the bastard who informed me about me is still free and unfettered in the Supreme Divine Palace, and as long as you promise me, you will kill that guy. Not only will I not stop you, I even thought that I would pass on my power to you. This was indeed a pretty good condition, and Chen Shang was already a little tempted. Who do you want me to kill? I won't do it unless it's an unpardonable crime. Chen Shang had his principles for killing people, so he did not agree immediately. Furthermore, he did not believe the words of the old man at the moment. Don't worry, when you get to Supreme Divine Palace, you will know what kind of people they are. At that time, it will be your decision whether to kill them or not, as long as you have a clear conscience. If you agree, I will pass my power on to you right now. The old man laughed. After Chen Shang finished listening, he was stunned for a moment before asking, "What you said was true?" The old man smiled faintly. I hope I'm not mistaken. I'm tired of living. The old man's expression suddenly changed, his wrinkled face suddenly turned sinister, a ball of light suddenly appeared on his chest, in the middle of the light was a divine deity. It's actually real. Before Chen Shang could react, the old man pushed out both of his hands, pushing out the ball of light and divine deity, and in an instant they struck Chen Zhang's body. In merely a few moments, Chen Shang could feel a vast amount of divine power surging into his body, and that divine deity was also an extremely pure set of divine deity. That old man had only forced out his own divine sense C and divine deity, but his divine soul was still there. Use my strength well. I want the person you killed to be called Wen Yushan. After the old man finished speaking with his last bit of strength, he dispersed his own divine soul. Chen Shang circulated his energy to absorb the energy that the old man transmitted to him. He did not even know the old man's name, and actually obtained all of his energy. Wen Yushan, I'll remember this. Chen Shang memorized this name. This old man dispersed his divine soul. It was clear that he did not wish to continue with the reincarnation process, or it could be said that he could not reincarnate at all. He really wanted to know what crime this old man had committed. Hi, Yu sighed sadly. I think I already know what rules he has violated in Supreme Divine Palace. This old man was at the peak of the upper true God. If he were to completely absorb the energy in his body, he would very quickly reach the peak of the upper true God. What rule did he break? Chen Shang was very curious about this, because he would also be entering the Supreme Divine Palace in the future. He probably escaped the Supreme Divine Palace by mistake and got caught, so he ended up here. Yue replied, I have heard that the Supreme Divine Palace has very strict rules regarding this matter. As long as you enter the Supreme Divine Palace, you cannot leave the Sacred Palace without permission. Chen Shang had thought of this before, but he didn't know it now. Otherwise, he wouldn't have continued this test. If I enter the Supreme Divine Palace, is there any other way to get out? Chen Shang asked. Of course there are, and some of the experts that came out of the Supreme Divine Palace also came out. At that time, the 9 divine kings came out from the Supreme Divine Palace, and because of their strength, the Supreme Divine Palace was unable to do anything to them, but of course, if you are too weak, it will be very difficult, but as for the specifics, wait until you get used to it, then you can think about it, since you know more about the Supreme Divine Palace. Yu Er's words were very reasonable. It was really too early for him to consider this matter. This desert was one of the trials, and up till now, he had yet to go to another place. As for the endless desert in front of him, it was clear that this trial was very far away. Because the old man had directly passed down his skills, Chen Shang was able to quickly absorb the power. He was now at the peak of upper true God. It's not enough yet. I need to become a profound God to pass the next stage. At this time, Chen Shang was climbing a mountain that was burning with golden flames. It was impossible for him to fly near this kind of mountain, because there would be a pressure coming from it, so he could only climb bit by bit. Once he climbed to a very high height, his body would become heavier and heavier. The rough trial path also allowed him to become stronger in a very short amount of time. If I want to become a profound God, I will need a large amount of mysterious power and purple profound Dan, but right now, I don't have the time to refine them. Chen Shang stood at the top of the mountain and looked at his own spirit liquid and purple pearls. Although he had some, he did not have the time to refine pills, otherwise, becoming a profound God would not be a problem. I wonder how far this stage will go. If I cannot break through into the realm of profound God in this stage, then the next stage will be very miserable. Chen Shang was still thinking of a way, even though the old man's method had helped him increase his own speed by a lot and he was only a step away from the profound God, it was difficult to cross over. Suddenly, he thought of the 6 realms mirrors. He took a closer look, and realized that the 6 realms mirrors had actually been repaired. The 6 realms mirrors could absorb the power of 6 stages of reincarnation, which was an extremely terrifying power. Chen Shang looked at Yue who was on his shoulder and asked, Yue, have you heard of 6 realms mirrors? Yue, who came from the Beast Divine Palace, naturally had heard of her. Yue was a little surprised. Why do you ask this? The 6 realms mirrors is the main treasure of the 6 realms Divine Palace, but it was lost a long time ago. Even if you didn't ask me, I still wouldn't have remembered that there was such a treasure around. Chapter 1873. Since the 6 realms mirrors had already recovered, and was now Chen Zhang's only reliance, he could only rely on it to smoothly complete the trial. According to what he knew, the biggest use of the 6 realms mirrors was to absorb the 6 paths of samsara's power through the 6 realms mirrors. Long Shui, who knew about this, was already fast asleep, but he did not know how to use it. He was worried that accidents might happen if he recklessly used it, so he was currently considering whether he should let Yue know that he had the 6 realms mirrors. Chen Shang said in a serious tone, Yue, you must keep the things that I'm about to say a secret for me. If this gets out, I'll be in trouble. Yue smiled. You still don't trust me? Along the way, Chen Shang and Yue had indeed become good friends, and could be trusted. I have a 6 realms mirrors, and this 6 realms mirrors was already damaged before. It is only now that it can repair itself. Chen Shang sent a sound transmission to Yue. I don't know anything about the usage of 6 realms mirrors. Yue could hardly believe that such a treasure would actually be on Chen Shang. When Chen Shang used his spatial power, she felt that he was not a simple person, and he even said that he had the 2 taboo magic S, the heavenly alchemy and the god-murdering sword techniques. Is this true? Yu asked in shock. It's true. Chen Shang nodded his head. I can't take it out, I'm worried that Supreme Divine Palace will know about it. Yue understood and sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. I'm very curious, how did this Six Realms mirrors end up in your hands? Six Realms Divine Palace and Supreme Divine Palace have always been searching for this mirror. Chen Shang told Yue about the matter of highest devil god searching for the Six Realms mirrors. After Yue heard about it, she laughed. This highest devil god is in trouble, he will definitely be scolded by the Six Realms Divine Palace. In order to take possession of everything, he actually lost the Six Realms mirrors. How do I use this Six Realms mirrors? Chen Shang asked. He was worried that he would very soon exit the desert, and the moment he walked out of the desert to another environment, it would be a trial of a higher level. That would require the strength of the profound god to pass. Most people aren't very clear about the use of Six Realms mirrors. Even people like highest devil god only know how to use Six Realms mirrors to open up tunnels and attract demons, or to absorb Six Realms power. I just happen to know the true usage of Six Realms mirrors. Yue proudly said, you're really lucky to have a body full of treasures. Chen Shang urged, quickly tell me how to use the Six Realms mirrors. I heard that just by absorbing the Six Realms power to cultivate, one can control the power of the ancient code. Yue nodded her head. That's right, but Six Realms power is not something that can be easily absorbed. You have the heavenly alchemy, so you can absorb it as you wish, and use the heavenly alchemy to refine it as well, but the refining speed will be very slow. If you want to make good use of the Six Realms mirrors, you'll need to work with a long-lost taboo magic, also known as the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. Chen Zhang's heart jumped. He already had 3 of the 4 great taboo magic the heavenly alchemy, the god-murdering sword techniques, and his heavenly body. All that was left was the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. You have the Six Realms magic Kung Fu? Chen Shang asked anxiously. Gathering all 4s, if he were to cultivate all of them, he would definitely be strong. Yue said. Of course I don't, this is the Six Realms Divine Palace's precious technique. Although it is not included in the taboo magic, no one has ever cultivated it to the great perfection stage, because cultivating this technique requires a large amount of Six Realms power. The 6 divine kings who established this technique all those years ago were the only ones who had cultivated it. At that time, he also possessed a Six Realms mirrors, so he sealed the Six Realms magic Kung Fu among the Six Realms mirrors. Understood that getting the Six Realms mirrors also meant getting the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. As long as he carefully studied the Six Realms mirrors, he would be able to find the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. Isn't the God King of the Six Daos very powerful right now? Chen Shang did not let the Six Realms mirrors out. The Six Realms mirrors was in his divine sense C. No, the Six Paths God King has disappeared. To date, it's still a mystery. Yue said. Go and check if there are any Six Realms magic Kung Fus inside the Six Realms mirrors. If there is, I will teach you how to use the Six Realms mirrors to absorb the Six Realms power, and that is the fastest way to do so. Chen Shang just climbed over a high mountain and continued to walk on top of the desert. He immersed his consciousness into the Six Realms mirrors and started to search for the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. Yue, don't tell me that the Six Realms mirrors wasn't absorbed directly. If it was taught to you, how would you know? Chen Shang was still very curious about Yue's identity, even though he already knew that she came from the Beast Divine Palace. Ordinary use is only like using magic treasures, but Six Realms mirrors requires a special method to use them. This is an incantation that only I know, because my ancestor was a good friend of the Six Daos Divine King and he was also a cat. Yue replied, my memories were inherited from my ancestors. That year, after the disappearance of the Six Daos Divine King, my ancestors joined the Beast Divine Palace. The person in charge of the Six Realms Divine Palace was actually a Divine King, with the same strength as the 9 Divine Kings. Furthermore, the 9 Divine Kings had also mysteriously disappeared, so Chen Shang felt that there must be a connection between them. There really is one. Chen Shang found a place to store memories within the Six Realms mirrors. After he broke open the door, a large amount of information poured into his mind, all of which were cryptic chants. There are 6 levels to the Six Realms magic Kung Fu, and learning 6 would allow you to reach the perfection stage. First, learn the first level, and after comprehending the first level, you can start to absorb the Six Realms power to cultivate. Of course, if you can work with the heavenly alchemy to cultivate it, that would be for the best. Yu said. Chen Shang walked while trying to comprehend the chants. Using philosophic stone S, it was not difficult for him to comprehend. Over 10 days later, he said to Uaa, I should be able to start cultivating now. Tell me what the incantation is, I will absorb the 6 realms power and cultivate. Uaa immediately transmitted the incantation to Chen Zhang's mind. It was extremely short and a little strange, and the pronunciation of the incantations required a very high level of skill in order to chant those incantations. Anyway, I can't recite this incantation. You should learn it yourself and recite it correctly. Yu said. It was not easy for Chen Shang to learn the incantation based on the voice. After practicing for a few days, he finally managed to master the incantation properly before starting to use it together with the 6 realms mirrors. The 6 realms mirrors had already fused with him, so he could only use his mind to absorb the 6 realms power, but he could only absorb a small amount. As he recited the chant for the 6 realms magic Kung Fu in his mind, he was chanting the incantation Yu gave him. Very quickly, he felt that the number of 6 realms power S that surged out of the 6 realms mirrors was indeed a lot more than before. Looks like I have to completely convert all the God power in my divine sense C into 6 realms power. This 6 realms power should be able to replace the mysterious power, and allow me to become a profound God. Chen Shang knew that it would take a long time, but he had no other choice. Chapter 1874. This desert was getting more and more dangerous, with traps everywhere. There were a few times when Chen Shang almost stepped into these traps, and it was only Yue who reminded him in time that he could avoid these traps. He suddenly realized that this trial was basically impossible to pass because it was simply too difficult. If it wasn't for Yuer's help, he didn't know what would have happened to him. I wonder how Xiaoqiu is doing, sigh. Chen Shang also wanted to participate in this kind of trial. Xiaoqiu didn't have Yue's help, so it would definitely be much more difficult than his. Chen Shang had absorbed a large amount of 6 realms power from the 6 realms mirrors for cultivation. His God power was already very strong in the divine sense C, so he only needed a bit of 6 realms power to transform it. Looks like the 6 realms power is not something that can be absorbed at any time. It's getting smaller and smaller. Chen Shang had already stopped chanting. He had been cultivating the 6 realms magic Kung Fu for more than a month. Yue replied, of course, 6 realms mirrors also need to rest. They will be fine after a while. His inability to continue cultivating disappointed Chen Shang a little, but he was using the heavenly alchemy to temper the 6 realms power in his divine sense C, to make it stronger and purer. I wonder if I can absorb the 6 divine powers directly to concoct pills. Chen Shang suddenly had a whim. He then rummaged through the heavenly alchemy, seeing if there was any method to condense the 6 realms power into a pill. If the 6 realms power was refined into a pill, then the quality would increase by many times, and it was much better than directly consuming it. Looks like I'll need a few more years to travel through this desert. Chen Shang was already numb to it. The desert seemed to be endless. This should be to give you more time to improve, if not this trial will have no meaning at all. Although very few people have passed this trial, the ones that have passed are all very outstanding, much more powerful than those that are born in the Supreme Divine Palace. Yue replied, maybe there will be preferential treatment. This time, he did not directly use it to cultivate. Instead, he absorbed it and sealed it in his palm. As he walked, he released the magic method furnace and placed the 6 realms power into the magic method furnace. Then, he used the method inside the heavenly alchemy specifically to refine the 6 realms power. Chen Shang discovered that all 4 great taboo magic S were related, because he could find out the method to refine 6 realms power from the heavenly alchemy, and the heavenly alchemy could also assist in the cultivation of the god-murdering sword techniques as well as the heaven's body. Now, he could even refine 6 divine powers to cultivate the 6 realms magic Kung Fu. Can it really be used to refine pills? I have heard of the power of heavenly alchemy, but I only know that it is usually used for battles. There are very few legends that can be used to refine pills. Yu said. The heavenly alchemy can be used in battle, but it should be very powerful as well. It's just that I did not go and research in this direction. It would already be hard for Chen Shang to comprehend the heavenly alchemy's method of pill refinement, but he would use other techniques to fight. Of course, he had fought using the heavenly alchemy before, so just training people in it was really impressive. Refining the 6 realms power wasn't difficult, because he used the 6 realms magic Kung Fu. According to the 6 realms magic Kung Fu's methods, he could make the 6 realms power more docile, so that it would be much easier to refine. This was the first time Yu saw someone using heavenly alchemy to refine pills. She squatted on Chen Zhang's shoulder and opened her eyes wide, looking at them without blinking, extremely carefully. The Six Realms' power was transparent and could not be seen, but after Chen Shang gathered it all together, it had actually become light yellow. Under the incineration of the flames, its color continued to deepen and gradually became golden. It should work. Chen Shang smiled slightly. Right now, he had refined the Six Realms' power that could only be formed after a month of refining a Six Realms mirrors. Because he wasn't absorbing the Six Realms' power into his body to cultivate now, he could absorb all of the Six Realms' power into the magic method furnace to refine. This should be called the Six Dao's Divine Pellet. It can be considered a shopping dan. Chen Shang snickered. As he traversed the mountains, it was not easy for him to refine pills at the same time. Fortunately, he was very familiar with using magic method furnaces to refine pills, so he was able to refine pills as he walked. The light within the magic method furnace became stronger and stronger. A large amount of Six Realms power had undergone a large change under Chen Zhang's refinement, so as long as they were compressed into a pill, they could be eaten. It was not easy to condense such a huge lump of Six Realms power into a pellet. It took Chen Shang half a day to condense such a huge pellet, but it was still considered a pellet, only that it was too small. It's just this little, is it effective? Yue looked at the golden grain of rice in Chen Zhang's palm, feeling a little puzzled. Of course it's effective. It's at least several times better than the Six Realms power that I directly absorbed. After Chen Shang swallowed it, he immediately activated the Six Realms magic Kung Fu. Because he was cultivating while walking, he needed a lot of time to refine the low-grade Six Dao's Divine Pellet. He would be able to refine a single Six Dao's Divine Pill in one day, but he would need to wait for a month for the Six Realms mirrors to condense enough Six Realms power to refine it. Chen Shang was already mentally prepared for a prolonged battle. This was not to fight with a strong opponent, but patience, because this road was very long. He didn't know how long he would have to walk, but if his mental pressure was too great, it would also affect him. Just like this, several years passed, and he finally saw a piece of green land. It was a large grassland, and this was the best place he had ever seen in this trial ground. 8 years. Chen Shang was obviously excited. At the moment his entire body was dirty and his hair was messy, he looked like a beggar by the roadside. Although it was a grassland in front, he did not immediately rush over, worried that there might be a trap. He had been very careful during his 8 years in the trial grounds. He could not afford to make any mistakes at this very last moment. He had yet to become a profound god, so although cultivating the Six Realms power allowed him to control 6 different types of powers, there was one drawback to it, and that was that he had leveled up very slowly. It's the last one. Let's break through after entering this grassland. Chen Shang looked at the larger Six Dao's Divine Pill in his hand. He had used Six Realms mirrors for so many years, and the Six Realms powers they condensed every other month were also increasing in number. So the 6 divine pellets that he refined were also getting bigger. After consuming this Six Dao's Divine Pill, he followed Little Moon's guidance, bypassing an invisible trap, and entered the dark green prairie. After Chen Shang entered the grasslands, a faint golden light leaked out of his body. He felt that he would break through very soon, and as long as he refined this Six Dao's Divine Pill, he would be able to advance into the realm of profound God. After stepping into the prairie, the desert behind him disappeared, and behind him was pitch-black darkness. Not only that, there was a palace in the distance. That should be the end. This trial really isn't easy. Yue sighed with emotion. Chapter 1875. Chen Shang slowly walked on the soft green grass, each step slow and steady, trying his best to hurry and refine the 6 divine pellets he had just consumed. Only by refining the 6 divine pellets would he be able to break through to the profound God realm and complete the trial. He was just a bit away from entering the profound God realm, but it was difficult to break through. The final trial was right in front of him, which immediately put a lot of pressure on Chen Shang. Can he break through at the last moment? Chen Shang closed his eyes and walked forward. Even though his feet were moving, he seemed to be sitting steadily, unable to feel any movement at all. This was something that he had developed over the past few years, and this was how he trained as he walked. Yue could remind him if there were any traps nearby, so he could focus on cultivating. A palace was right in front of them. When they looked at it from afar, the palace seemed to be very big, but as they gradually approached, they realized that it was very small, like a small house. It was extremely strange, and even more bizarre was that the palace seemed to move. In order to break through the bottleneck, one needed sufficient mysterious power to enter the realm of profound God. I have to replace the mysterious power with the 6 realms power now, and it seems that it's enough. I'll give it a try. Chen Shang channeled the 6 divine powers in his body, causing the divine sense to surge violently. Possessing sufficient strength, as long as one broke through the cocoon surrounding the divine sense world, the divine sense world would undergo a metamorphosis. The power within the divine sense would be sublimated, and their divine soul would be strengthened by leaps and bounds. Boom! Chen Shang saw that the blue sky above divine sense world had been split open by his condensed 6 realms power, and golden light leaked out from the cracks. I'm going to succeed. Chen Shang was extremely excited in his heart. As long as he continued to use the 6 realms power to attack it, he would be able to break out of this layer of cocoon and undergo a brand new transformation and evolution. Boom! He once again activated the 6 realms power in the divine sense, exploding in the sky above the divine sense world, causing even more cracks to appear. He had to destroy the entire sky above the divine sense world in order to break through. With every step Chen Shang took, a burst of golden-colored aura gushed out of his body. Each step signified that he was using the 6 realms power to break through a bottleneck. The distance to the small house in front of them was getting closer and closer. From afar, it looked like a palace, and walking into it, one could see that it was only an ordinary small house. If you really think that you can pass the trial by coming to this palace, then you are wrong. Fortunately, you did not run here crazily, otherwise you would have definitely fallen into those traps. Yue lay on Chen Zhang's shoulder, and they could clearly feel how much effort he put in by using the 6 realms power to break through the bottleneck time and time again. There was still a distance of over 3,000 feet before he reached the small house. The small house did not move as it had before. Golden light radiated from Chen Zhang's body, and the sky above divine sense was already shattered as a large amount of golden light poured into his divine sense world, fusing together with everything within his divine sense world. His divine sense was filled with golden light, and in that moment he returned to his original appearance. The world once again appeared, and he looked no different than before, but the power in his divine sense had already turned into a stronger 6 realms power. A mysterious power of this level should be at the level of a middle profound god. After breaking through, he actually passed through a stage. One must know that it required a lot of time and effort to advance from the lower profound goddess to the middle profound goddess. However, after Chen Shang broke through, he immediately reached the middle profound goddess. Although Chen Zhang's divine sense had a large number of 6 realms power, his body was currently leaking out waves after waves of divine profound energy. Just as the profound spirit chi was released, it was immediately absorbed by him, and the gold light around his body had disappeared as well. Right now he was completely filled with confidence as he walked towards the small hut in front of him. He was no longer as slow as he was before. With a single step, he teleported to the front door of the small house. Dong, dong, dong. Chen Shang knocked on the door a few times, then a burst of powerful chi rushed out from the gap in the door. He anxiously retreated a few steps, he was already prepared to fight. After the door was opened, a young man appeared. This man was dressed in a golden red robe. On the clothes, there were many shining spirit grains. It was extremely strange. The man looked at the cat on Chen Zhang's shoulder, a hint of surprise flashed past his eyes that were ice cold. He said coldly, "It's not bad to be able to walk this far, but regretfully, you must die here." Chen Shang had already made his preparations. In this trial, other than countless traps, there were only these kind of fellows who blocked his way. In his map, this was the destination. In other words, as long as he could defeat the person in front of him, he would pass the trial. Then let's begin, Chen Shang said indifferently. He did not reveal any fear, as though he was looking forward to this battle. Come with me, fighting in this place will only affect my mood. The man turned and walked through the door. Chen Shang followed behind him, and saw a small word written on the clothes on his back, Supreme Sword Hall, Songpeng. Yue sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. This is a very powerful Supreme Divine Palace disciple. His clothes and the sword in his hand all indicate that he has a pretty good position within the Supreme Divine Palace, and Sword Hall is even ranked among the top. Chen Shang followed behind Songpeng as they passed through a long passage and arrived at a huge hall. There were young people lined up neatly all around the hall, men and women alike, all of them lined up very neatly. And right in front of this huge hall, was a huge word, sword. Seeing this vigorous and powerful, sword, word, Chen Shang did not know why, but the god-killing sword in his body seemed to want to shoot out, and the word in front of his eyes made him feel a sense of respect. The person who had written these words had clearly injected a dense sword intent into the brush. He had used the brush as a sword, causing this word to have an extremely profound aura of the path of the sword. Chen Shang realized that he was inside the Supreme Divine Palace, and it was even that sword hall. "I'll give you 1 hour," Song Peng said towards the word sword. His current voice was not as cold and disdainful as before, but instead carried an incomparable reverence. Within this sword hall, when facing that word, he simply could not be arrogant at all. The other disciples of the sword hall were all very quiet. They did not whisper to each other, but stood up straight, and lined up in an orderly manner. Chen Shang counted, there were around 1,000 disciples, and all of them were in the profound God realm. These disciples did not pass the trials, they were all born and raised in the Supreme Divine Palace. They have never left the Supreme Divine Palace, and should be a group of youngsters. This sword hall should be the profound God, so they are all profound God's disciples. UAA sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang, maybe the person who will be competing with you is the hall master of this place. Chen Shang looked around, and sent a sound transmission to you. It shouldn't be hall master, look over there, there's a chair, that's where the hall master sits, but the smell of that chair is different from the one on that guy's body. UAA was a little shocked. Smell? I can't even smell it, how can you smell it? I'm not too sure either. It just feels like it. Chen Shang also realized that he had a strange feeling all of a sudden. That feeling didn't come from smelling it with his nose, but instead, he felt it. "Welcome, Hall Master." A burst of powerful shouts suddenly exploded in the hall, startling Chen Shang. He and UAA immediately looked towards the chair, because the hall master had suddenly appeared on top of it. Just as Chen Shang had said, Song Peng was not the hall master. The hall master who had just appeared was a relatively short youth, but no one would think that he was very short and weak. The cold expression on his handsome face gave people a lot of pressure. The profound goddess in the hall were all this kind of young man. Chen Shang couldn't help but think about the yellow-clothed man he killed earlier. He was already a upper true god young man, and the young disciples in the hall might even be around 20 or 30 years old. "Song Peng, are you confident that you can defeat him? If not, I will choose another one," that hall master asked. "I am confident that I will definitely defeat him." Song Peng still had his back facing Chen Shang, facing that word, sword. The hall master smiled slightly. "Song Peng, don't disappoint me, leave this matter to us 19 halls to handle, we cannot screw it up, he is the only one who can come here since the start of the trial." Chen Shang and UAA were both a little surprised that no one had really passed this trial. After Song Peng made Chen Shang prepare for an hour, Chen Shang actually felt that Song Peng wanted him to prepare for himself, this would definitely give him a lot of pressure. Chen Shang, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. Along the way, he had faced so many trainings, and not to mention the previous trials, just the experiences of him, a small fry who had struggled until now, were not something this brat could compare with. "You don't seem worried at all about losing. You should know that the moment you lose, you will die." Seeing Chen Zhang's relaxed expression, the hall master frowned and asked. Chen Shang chuckled. "Since you've come, then you should rest in peace. If you were like me, and have experienced countless hardships to come here, you wouldn't feel afraid at all. I have experienced many life and death situations along the way." The head saint nodded. "That's right. In that case, you should have already taken life and death lightly." Chen Shang shook his head and laughed. "Of course not, I am very afraid of death, it is because I do not want to die that I have to live, if I were to take my life lightly, I would not have come to this place. Since you are afraid of death, then you should be afraid. We are different from the strong enemies you met outside." In his eyes, the people outside the Supreme Divine Palace should be afraid of them. Chen Shang laughed. "But all of you are enough to make me fear, I do not understand anything about you, why don't you tell me why you are so afraid?" Song Peng suddenly turned around, and said indifferently, "Seems like you are already prepared. Let's fight, defeat me, and you can finish the trial." Chen Shang had been impatient since a long time ago. He seemed a little excited and laughed. "Why don't you say so? If I defeat you, I can complete the trial. You probably never thought that you would die, you probably aren't afraid of death." Chapter 1876. When all the disciples of the profound God heard Chen Zhang's words, they all started to discuss softly, because what Chen Shang had just said was too arrogant. Forget about someone who had entered the Supreme Divine Palace from the outside. Even the disciples of the other halls of the Supreme Divine Palace had to be respectful. Why would they dare to be so arrogant? The hall master frowned and said to Song Peng, "Don't embarrass this hall. You must stop him from entering the Supreme Divine Palace." Song Peng's sword was already unsheathed, and that kind of sharp glint brought about an endless amount of killing intent, shining onto Chen Zhang's body, causing him to feel the biting cold wind. This was the first time Chen Zhang had felt such a terrifying sword intent. Of course, his own god-killing sword was even more terrifying, it was just that he was unable to sense it himself. This Song Peng was extremely prestigious amongst them, and from the eyes of the majority of the disciples, Chen Zhang could see the kind of look of reverence in their eyes when they were looking at Song Peng. Chen Zhang also took out his sword. The god-slaughtering sword looked very old, its exterior was mottled with rust, and it did not have any spirit grain. It looked like it was made of scrap metal. When compared to Song Peng's dazzling divine sword, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Song Peng didn't care what weapon the other party used, because this wasn't important in his eyes at all. No matter what powerful divine weapon Chen Zhang used, he would always be a dead man in his eyes. Yue flew away from Chen Zhang. Watching from afar, she was extremely confident in Chen Zhang, because she accompanied him on his journey. "Begin," the hall master shouted softly, and all the disciples of the sword hall watched attentively. Song Peng was the first to make a move. He instantly disappeared, only to see a ray of sword light, as fast as lightning, accompanied by a monstrous killing intent, striking towards Chen Zhang. Everyone thought that he would not be able to block this strike. Unexpectedly, Chen Zhang seemed to have predicted that Song Peng would attack him in such a manner, and the moment Song Peng disappeared, he had already opened the god-slaughtering sword in his hands. Chen Zhang's swinging of the sword seemed to have accidentally raised his hand, and looked like a coincidence, as it blocked the sword thrust by Song Peng. However, all of the sword hall disciples present knew very well that this sword strike was not a coincidence, because Chen Zhang's seemingly casual sword strike contained very profound strength. Song Peng's sword technique was extremely high-leveled. When he unleashed his sword, it was all condensed sword force, it was able to destroy everything, and easily break through the god power barrier, but Chen Zhang's sword, which seemed to be as such, cleverly dispelled the sword force, making Song Peng's sword turn into a very ordinary sword. Song Peng felt his sword force dissipating with full of confidence. He reacted extremely quickly, and anxiously withdrew his sword, because he no longer had any momentum for his sword. Once it pierced through, it would reveal his weak spot, and Chen Zhang would take the chance to chase after it. He would definitely lose one move, thus he anxiously retracted his sword to defend. He knew that Chen Zhang's speed was very fast, so he did not give him the chance to use his second sword strike. Just as Song Peng retracted his sword and was about to block, he felt an itch in his throat, followed by a sharp pain that spread out from the itch. At the same time, a terrifying and powerful sword intent surged into his entire body. Clang, clang, the exquisite divine sword in Song Peng's hand dropped to the ground. The back of his hand suddenly had sword scars, his entire body was suddenly covered with sword scars, even his back was covered with the beautiful sword hall clothes. His clothes were already tattered, blood flowed out and fell from his hands. Yet Chen Zhang's sword had already pierced through Song Peng's throat. Song Peng's eyes were suddenly open, and at first, his eyes were filled with surprise and puzzlement, but slowly, they were filled with fear. All of the disciples of the sword hall were dumbstruck. They did not even see what just happened clearly, so much that they did not see what had just happened, because Chen Zhang was originally only 10 steps away from Song Peng, but in the next moment, Chen Zhang's sword was already at Song Peng's throat, and there were suddenly countless of sword wounds on Song Peng's body, with blood flowing down non-stop. Chen Zhang looked at Song Peng, whose face was filled with fear, and slowly pulled out the sword. He laughed. "I won't kill you, I want you to live in this fear forever." Although Duan Peng's throat was pierced, he was still a profound god and would only cause him too much blood and vitality, he would not die. When Chen Zhang's sword left his throat, he knelt down fiercely on the ground as fresh blood gushed out from the hole in his throat. There was still the extremely strong mysterious power in his body, but he was unable to circulate it because he was already intimidated by the fear. Song Peng lost. He lost completely, although he did not die, but this was more painful than death. Song Peng was only a lower-level profound god, but after he broke through, he was directly sent flying to a middle-level profound god. His cultivation was one level higher than Song Peng's, and his strength was that mysterious and terrifying 6 realms power. Chen Zhang looked at the hall master and said with a smile, this Hall Master, are you interested in exchanging a few moves with me? He's too weak, it's not fun fighting him. Chen Shang was provoking his sword hall, and he was acting so arrogantly inside his sword hall to the point that he was going crazy. Seeing the trembling Song Peng kneeling on the ground, the Hall Master strongly patted the armrest of his chair, and like a gust of wind, he flew in front of Chen Shang. A slender divine sword had already appeared in his hands, shining with a cold light. Enough, he has already passed the trial. A voice suddenly sounded. Then, a translucent image appeared in front of Chen Shang. It was an old man wearing a white robe. Chen Shang didn't mind another fight with the Hall Master. Since he had broken through to Middle Profound God, he wanted to fight to his heart's content to test his current strength. When the old man appeared, the angry Hall Master calmed down. Even though he was the Hall Master, he was still an inexperienced young man, far from someone like Chen Shang. Follow me. The shadow suddenly flashed and arrived at the other side of the hall. It was a stone door. After he walked over, the stone door automatically opened. Chen Shang could tell that the old man had released his power to open the stone door. As the first person to have passed through the trial and entered the Supreme Divine Palace, Sword Hall had now experienced how terrifying and arrogant it was. Song Peng had already been carried away to recuperate from his injuries, and even though his injuries could quickly recover, the fear that was in the bottom of his heart could not be wiped away, as it might accompany him for the rest of his life. Passing through the stone door, Chen Shang followed the old man through a wide passage and arrived at a bright secret room. Inside the room was an old man, who was the clone of the mysterious man. The moment the shadow entered, it disappeared. The old man looked at Chen Shang and smiled. Your name is Chen Shang, right? The old man looked at Yue. He seemed to have noticed something, but he didn't say anything. Chen Shang nodded his head. He had caused so much trouble outside that it was not strange for Supreme Divine Palace to know his name. Chapter 1877. After Chen Shang sat down, the old man said, I have some understanding of your situation. After all, you possess the two taboo magic S, the god-murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. We had been paying close attention to you since a long time ago, so the sword attack you used earlier should be a 7 devils slain kung fu that was a little similar to the god-murdering sword techniques. Chen Shang nodded. The Supreme Divine Palace was the base camp of the Supreme God, so Chen Shang was not surprised at all when he knew about this. According to what I know, there are still many things that you should not have resolved outside, and after joining the Supreme Divine Palace, you are not allowed to leave, unless you can complete one of the challenges within the Supreme Divine Palace in the future, so that you can freely enter and exit the Supreme Divine Palace. The old man said again. Chen Shang frowned. Is the challenge going to be easy? The old man laughed. Let's put it this way, at least I did not succeed, although I am an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Zhang's expression changed, and asked again, so that means, I have to make a choice now, either join the Supreme Divine Palace or choose to give up. The elder shook his head. Didn't you already make your choice? Chen Shang curled his lips and said, I didn't know when I chose to participate in the trial. If I had known, I wouldn't have joined the Supreme Divine Palace. The old man laughed. It's not your turn now, you must join Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Shang was a little angry. He only wanted to challenge this trial, but he did not know that he would not be able to leave if the Supreme Divine Palace came in. Don't worry, we will give you 2 years' time to get rid of everything outside. When the time comes, you must come to Supreme Divine Palace. The old man replied, 2 years should be enough time for you to settle all these matters. Furthermore, there will be chaos outside, so with 2 taboo magic S, you will definitely be in danger. 2 years of time was indeed enough, but Chen Shang just couldn't bear to part with his women. Why is there such a chaos outside? Does your Supreme Divine Palace not care? Chen Shang asked. The chaos in the God's realm was not a joke, only when the Supreme Divine Palace made a move could he stabilize his body. We can't do anything about it. The 3 great temples won't intervene at that time. The old man said. When the time comes, you must come to Supreme Divine Palace. Even if you did not come on time, we would have still sent people to capture you. Chen Shang was extremely confused. Supreme Divine Palace, 6 Realms Divine Palace and Beast Divine Palace were all places that were gathered by the gods, yet they could not lock them down. The old man laughed. I know what you are thinking, although we are a bit too powerful, but not as terrifying as you think we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to spend so many years building this space that is separated from the God's realm. To tell you the truth, we are hiding here to avoid this chaos. Uaa said, old man, are you saying that the divine prison can't hold on any longer? Little cat, you are from Beast Divine Palace, right? Hee hee, how could you be together with this brat? The elder wanted to touch Uaa's head, but Uaa made a meow sound before dodging away, causing the elder to feel a bit awkward. Uaa flew to Chen Zhang's hands and said, old man, are you guys unable to control Divine Prison's group? The old man sighed. That's right, those fellows from Divine Prison and the rest are just as we expected, some of them have already become 2 gods. As long as the numbers continue to rise, it wouldn't be long before they work together to destroy the entire Divine Prison and then run out. There were so many terrifying villains locked up in the Divine Prison. After being locked up for so long, they had accumulated a lot of resentment. And the ones imprisoning them were all the primal gods like the Supreme Divine Palace. Back then, they couldn't exterminate the group of villains, which was why they were sealed within the Divine Prison. The old man said, the fellows that we had infiltrated into the Divine Prison back then were all extraordinary geniuses. All of the Hall Masters in the God's realm were unable to suppress them, which was why we acted. Those people that we were unable to kill were all sealed within the Divine Prison, and they would think of ways to cultivate within the Divine Prison. Chen Shang said with a look of despise on his face, this is a disaster that you two have caused. At the time of the accident, you guys actually went into hiding and let the innocent people above God's realm suffer from it. Don't worry, although we don't care, but the other powers will. It's not like the 3 halls are the only ones watching the God's realm, the other large powers similar to us will definitely not let it be destroyed so easily. Aside from the 3 divine halls in God's realm, there were actually other mysterious and powerful forces. The old man said, actually, our Supreme Divine Palace is the same as the 9 divine kings back then. We want to create a world that belongs to us, but it's not as grand as the 9 heaven worlds. Both the Beast Divine Palace and the 6 Realms Divine Palace have this kind of small world. When he thought about how he had to hide here at that time, Chen Shang felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. Then let me out now. Chen Shang said. When that time comes, just send someone to pick me up. The old man nodded. With a wave of his sleeve, he sent Chen Shang away. Chen Shang left the Supreme Divine Palace, and the place he appeared in was actually the place where he and Uaa had shared the 9 energies fruit previously. The moment he and Uaa had appeared, they had sensed a few auras. It's him and this cat. I won't forget them even if I die. Li Zonghen shouted. When Chen Shang and Uaa stepped into the Black Lake, Li Zonghen and the few pill gods immediately rushed over. However, the Black Lake had already disappeared. It's been 80 years. It's finally your turn. Quickly hand over the 9 oddity divine fruit. Li Zonghen shouted. Chen Shang looked at this group of people. The strongest was only Yi Qin, she was a super profound god, and Li Zonghen was only at the peak of the middle profound god. Yi Qin frowned, because he did not change his appearance at the moment. You are Chen Shang. After Yi Qin confirmed it, he couldn't help but take a few steps back. After all, Chen Shang understood how to deal with the terrifying god-murdering sword techniques and the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu. That's right. Said indifferently. He had already guessed that they were here to retrieve the 9 strange divine fruits, and he knew that he had stayed in the trial grounds for 8 years, but 80 years had passed outside. He had lost another 70 years, and he couldn't help but curse in his heart that the Supreme Divine Palace had tricked him for so much time. Chen Shang said, it's been 80 years, and yet you guys are still bitterly waiting here, you sure have perseverance. Li Zonghen coldly snorted. Don't think that just because you're Chen Shang, you don't need to return it to us. Let me tell you, because there is a pill god that urgently needs the 9 strange divine fruit, that's why he gave such a high price to search for it. If you don't give it to me, even if that pill god doesn't kill you, I will still kill you. Chen Shang laughed coldly, I took away the 9 strange divine fruit on my own accord. Who asked you to be so weak, and the 9 strange divine fruit didn't even have your names carved on it. So what if it's yours, your father won't give it to you, what can you do to me? Chapter 1878. Li Zonghen was furious. It would have been fine if it were just some pill god or some powerful god realm being as arrogant as him, but the arrogant one in front of him was Chen Shang, and his cultivation was also very low. He was only a true god previously, although it had been 80 years, but he felt that Chen Shang was just a upper true god. Yi Qin did not think that way. Although she did not understand Chen Shang, She knew that Chen Zhang's pill refining skills were very good, and alchemists who had a high level of cultivation would usually use a large amount of pills to make herself stronger. She was not able to see through Chen Zhang's strength right now, but she could tell that Chen Shang was very confident. Yi Qin thought carefully, and after thinking about it carefully, he decided to stay away from this place, because it was not a good thing to clash with Chen Shang right now. Let's go. We can report this back, Yi Qin said to Li Zonghan, and pulled at Li Zonghan, who was about to flare up. Yi Qin's words stung Li Zonghan, which made him think that Yi Qin was underestimating him and was trying to show off. Furthermore, Li Zonghan had brought a few profound goddess with him, which made him even more confident. Chen Shang, I'll give you one more chance. If you still don't hand over the 9 strange divine fruit A. Before Li Zonghan even finished speaking, Chen Shang had already taken out his god-slaughtering sword. No need to give me that chance. 80 years have passed, and I've already eaten all 9 of the divine fruits. How am I supposed to take them out? Ha ha eh, Chen Shang laughed. You're courting death, Li Zonghan shouted angrily as his arm moved forward like a phantom. It was extremely fast and it looked like he wanted to slap Chen Shang. He had to admit that this Li Zonghan still had some skills, but Chen Shang, who had the strength of a middle profound god, simply did not view Li Zonghan as a worthy opponent. When Li Zonghan's palm struck over, Chen Shang also quickly swung his sword, chopping at Li Zonghan's arm. Ah! Li Zonghan cried out in pain as his palm fell to the ground, but blood didn't flow out. Smoke was rising from his wound, because Chen Zhang's god-slaughtering sword was extremely hot. Young master, the few profound goddess who were with Li Zonghan turned pale with fright. Without saying a word, they retrieved their weapons and attacked Chen Shang. Chen Shang raised his eyebrows, and after he sneered, he was no longer where he was before. When he appeared, he was already behind Li Zonghan, and there were a few bloody holes on the bodies of the other profound goddess. 7 devils slain Kung Fu. Yi Qin was shocked. Chen Zhang's technique was extremely terrifying, she had long heard of it, and anxiously shouted out, Chen Shang, he is the son of the god, if you were to A. Before Yi Qin could finish his words, he saw Chen Zhang's god-slaughtering sword piercing into the back of Li Zonghan's neck, and even kicking out with great force towards Li Zonghan's waist. Boom! Chen Shang exerted all his strength to kick him, and a burst of lightning struck down. In the blink of an eye, Li Zonghan's waist was also blasted into pieces. Bang! Li Zonghan's body flew out, and smashed into a large tree. Chen Shang immediately dodged and fiercely stepped on the struggling Li Zonghan's chest. Chen Zhang's kick was like a giant pillar smashing into the earth. The 6 realms' power roared from within his body and ignited an extremely berserk energy, causing Chen Zhang's kick to be extremely powerful, stepping on it to the point that Li Zonghan coughed out blood and the ground was overturned several times. Miss Yi, let's quickly leave. Even if we join forces, we would still not be a match for Chen Shang, let alone Li Zonghan, who does not listen to our advice. They secretly praised Yi Qin. If Yi Qin had wanted to capture Chen Shang just now, like Li Zonghan, they would definitely do the same. When that time came, they would have died in the same way as the profound god lying on the ground. Yi Qin and the few profound goddess who came with her had all seen how terrifying Chen Shang was. To be able to kill Li Zonghan and the rest in a matter of seconds, was indeed not something they could afford to offend. Let's go. Yi Qin made her decision immediately. Just as she was about to leave, she saw Chen Shang shouting from afar. Wait! After Chen Shang finished speaking, he kicked the half-dead Li Zonghan over, and very accurately landed beside Yi Qin's feet. Yi Qin lowered her head to look at Li Zonghan, and couldn't help but frown. Fortunately, she was also someone who had experienced hundreds of battles. Bring this guy back, he should be able to be saved. Chen Shang laughed coldly. Go back and tell those few pill gods that I got the 9 oddity divine fruit first and that it was mine first. I hope they don't make any mistakes and I don't want to be enemies with them. Li Zonghan was indeed still alive, but her divine deity had already been taken away by Chen Shang. To profound god, this was a very cruel thing, because it was equivalent to being crippled, and it felt worse than dying. Take him away. Yi Qin did not reply. He instructed a few profound goddess beside him to lift Li Zonghan up and then use an array disc to leave. Chen Shang looked at Yue who was flying in the sky and asked, do you still want to walk around with me? Yue shook her head. No need, I want to go meet Beast Divine Palace. If what that old man said is true, I must return to Beast Divine Palace and meet him again if fate wills it. Chen Shang nodded at her. Take care. Yue disappeared in a flash. Chen Shang sighed softly and then teleported away. Long Shui was still in deep sleep and she had slept for far too long this time around. It did not seem that it was because she had eaten the divine fruit of the 9 wonders. According to Long Shui's refining speed, in the 8 years of the trial, it should be enough time for her to refine the divine fruit of 9 wonders. It's already been 80 years, I wonder how that Xiao Chou fellow is doing. Chen Shang was extremely worried for Xiao Chou, because Chen Shang was also participating in this kind of trial like him. He had passed the trial, but he also deeply understood just how terrifying this trial was. After a few teleportations, he arrived at the shop in Goddess City. To his surprise, the shop had been sold 50 years ago. He quickly asked around, but did not expect Feng Yuji to leave the Divine Female Palace 50 years ago. At that time, she was expelled by the Divine Female Palace because of a conflict with a pill god, and because she offended a pill god, she was now envied by the pill god. In order to curry favor with the pill god, some of the stronger gods swore to arrest her. Why did Feng Yuji clash with the pill god? Chen Shang didn't hear about it, he only knew that there was a huge battle at that time in the Divine Female Palace and that both Feng Yuji and the pill god were heavily injured. LV Kilian and the other girls who were running the shop also transferred their stores and left Goddess City. Seems like I can only make a trip back to the devil-killing Divine City. Chen Shang looked at the towering Divine Female Palace, then quickly proceeded towards the transmitting square. After arriving at the transmitting square, he had actually found out that none of the Divine Cities were allowed to enter the devil-killing Divine City. Chapter 1879. Before Chen Shang had entered the trial grounds, he had already known that Hell Devil Emperor and his forces had revived and even took revenge on devil-killing Divine City. After asking around, he found out that the reason why all Divine Cities had not released their transmission array to devil-killing Divine City was indeed related to this matter, because devil-killing Divine City was currently being attacked by a large group of evil monsters that Hell Devil Emperor had brought along. Most of the people in the devil-killing Divine City had already left, and currently, only the devil-killing Divine Palace's disciples were stubbornly guarding the tattered Divine City, so they were at a disadvantage. Why didn't the all-Divine Palaces help him? Chen Shang asked an old man. The old man was a tea-house guest, and was also a profound god. Chen Shang had chatted with him at the tea-house. All Divine Palaces felt that it was a grudge between devil-killing Divine Palace and herself, so she didn't make a move. I think that most of the divine gods in devil-killing Divine Palace felt that devil-killing Divine Palace was too much of a hindrance, and wanted devil-killing Divine Palace to fall completely. The old man said. Chen Shang drank a few cups of tea and chatted with the old man for a while before he teleported to the closest city to devil-killing Divine City and hurried back to devil-killing Divine City. With the support of the Supreme God, the Hell Devil Emperor quickly developed a strong power. In order to stabilize his power and position in the God's realm, the first thing he needed to do was to eliminate the devil-killing Divine Palace. Chen Shang could already see the evil spirit of the devil-killing Divine City in the distance, covered by the haze. The tall city walls surrounding the city were already full of holes, and at the moment, there were still a large number of evil demons standing on top of the city walls. All Divine Palaces and the rest of the idiots here, after we destroy the threat of devil-killing Divine Palace, they will definitely target the other powerful Divine Halls. Don't you think they still don't know about Hell Devil Emperor's ambitions? Chen Shang teleported over and appeared in the city. Aside from the fact that the devil-killing Divine Palace was still unharmed, the rest of the buildings in the city were already in tatters. The ground had split open and there were a large number of bottomless ravines. Chen Shang looked at the black cloud in the sky, which was releasing evil qi, causing the evil demons hidden inside the city to absorb the evil qi, and quickly become stronger. The undead who died in this place would all rush into the black clouds. This was the most familiar tactic used by the Hell Devil Emperor to guard the infernal realm, and use the departed souls to quickly obtain strength. This cloud has been here for many years. It must be scattered. When the sunlight shines down, it can also kill those evil monsters. It should be able to weaken their power. Chen Shang stared at the black clouds in the sky, his fists tightly clenched, releasing traces of golden lightning. Heavenly refining great universe. Chen Shang shouted lightly and the 6 realms power on his body immediately surged. Golden light erupted from his body, causing him to emit blazing light like the sun. In that moment, a huge golden barrier suddenly appeared, enveloping the entire devil-killing Divine City. Chen Shang had just inspected his surroundings. The Hell Devil Emperor's base camp was very far away. Although there were many demons and monsters entering the devil-killing Divine City, they all hid themselves to cultivate, absorbing the evil chi released by the black cloud in the sky. The huge barrier released by Chen Shang was like a gigantic magic method furnace, shrouding the entire city. He was already very familiar with refining this kind of demonic energy, but it was just that he needed to refine a lot of things now. With the support of the Six Realms power, refining this kind of demonic energy on such a large scale would not be difficult. Very soon, a set of silver flames appeared on the huge black cloud. This was the Chuangzhou fire released by Chen Zhang's life force technique, and under the activation of the Six Realms power, it became even hotter, burning even more intensely. Very quickly, it turned the sky above devil-killing divine city into a sea of fire. Amongst the devil-killing divine palace, Wang Jinshi shouted in shock, "Master, quickly look up there, what is going on?" Ren Tianyang and Yuan Baibing felt a very familiar feeling when they saw this flame. When devil-killing heavenly god saw it, he said in pleasant surprise, "It's Chen Zhang's Chuangzhou fire, this little demon passed the trial. He did not die." Devil-killing heavenly god was very excited, her voice trembling a little. The disciples of the devil-killing divine palace saw a silver-white flame burning in the sky. That kind of holy silver light made them feel much better. 80 years. What has he been doing? Wang Jinshi was also very happy, but he was a little worried, because Hell Devil Emperor had been looking for Chen Shang. Let's quickly go out and cooperate with him so that we won't be disturbed by the Hell Devil Emperor and move out. Devil-killing heavenly god said, and then he quickly flew over with a large group of devil-killing divine palace disciples. Chen Shang was currently using the heavenly alchemy, and it was on a very large scale at that. He needed some time, so it would naturally be best if there was someone protecting him. All of you, come up. Chen Zhang's consciousness was like a huge net covering down, enveloping all the hidden demons and monsters. Following that, he used the Tai Chi refining, causing a huge Taiji array to immediately appear in the sea of fire in the sky. The countless evil demons on the ground immediately floated up, and were pulled in by the force. Chen Shang, who had activated his Six Realms power with all his might, had already unleashed the heavenly alchemy to its limit. A large number of evil monsters quickly floated up and were sucked into the sea of flames. Refine. Chen Shang roared, the sound resonated in all directions, the might of it shook the entire world. The evil demons that were still struggling in the sea of flames instantly turned into ashes, after that they quickly condensed into a white pill. Devil-killing heavenly god and the rest who were rushing over saw that, and were extremely shocked. They did not expect Chen Shang to end the battle so quickly. The Hell Devil Emperor is here, we don't need to fight with them for now. Devil-killing heavenly god came to Chen Zhang's side, grabbed him and immediately returned to devil-killing divine palace. Devil-killing divine city had been shrouded by dark clouds for many years, and at this time, the sunlight was shining down on the devil-killing divine city. Although it had already turned into ruins, this meant that it would end very soon. Inside the devil-killing divine palace, Chen Shang looked at Ren Tianyang and the others, and laughed. "Long time no see, how could you guys be like this? What about the fat fifth brother?" "Dead, fifth and ninth brothers are all dead." Devil-killing heavenly god said dejectedly. "Zhu Chao, Zhu Ming and his wife have still not been found out. Sigh, if not, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state." The two sons and daughter-in-law of the devil-killing heavenly god were the main force. Now, Chen Shang understood why the devil-killing divine city had become like this. Fortunately, Wang Jinshi and the others had already been promoted to the level of god, and there were also the other 10 disciples from the second batch. The strength of the devil-killing divine palace was still very strong, but after battling with the Hell Devil Emperor for so many years, his strength had been gradually reduced by a large amount, and the Hell Devil Emperor actually had a steady supply of support. The other temples aren't helping. When Chen Shang saw Tai Chang walking in, he nodded and greeted him. Devil-killing heavenly god said helplessly, "If I don't help, penalty heavenly god will be in deep trouble as well. He will be tied down by a huge burden and won't be able to help me. The Fire Divine Palace, Wealth Divine Palace, and the War God Shrine have absolutely no way of helping me." The penalty heavenly god was unable to come to help, and it proved that what the old man said was true. The divine prison could not hold it in any longer, so he was probably preparing to destroy the divine prison. Chapter 1880. The fact that the devil-killing divine palace was forced to such a state showed that the Hell Devil Emperor was very strong. With the secret support of the Supreme God, it would not be difficult for them to destroy the other shrines in the God's realm. Devil-killing heavenly God said, Chen Shang, even though your current strength is very strong, the power Hell Devil Emperor has right now is not something you can imagine. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state. Chen Shang looked out the window at the ruins, and said, then what do we do now? If this goes on, we won't be able to do anything, we can't leave here temporarily, can't we come back later? Devil-killing heavenly god shook his head. If I could have left, I would have definitely left, but I definitely cannot leave now, because right now, Hell Devil Emperor's primary target is us. Once our devil-killing divine palace dissolves, Hell Devil Emperor has no target, the consequences can be imagined. The devil-killing heavenly god was doing this for the sake of the entire god's realm. Chen Shang thought about it carefully. If it wasn't for the fact that the devil-killing heavenly god was holding on here, the 9-heaven world might have already fallen. The reason the devil-killing heavenly god created the Devil Slayer art was to deal with this kind of evil demon, the Hell Devil Emperor, so of course he couldn't show weakness. There's really no other way. Wang Jinshi sighed. She had already made up her mind. Originally, she and the 10 junior brothers and sisters were together, but now only the 3 of them were left. From the moment they joined the devil-killing divine palace, they had already had this kind of awareness, and would definitely fight the demons to the death. Devil-killing heavenly god frowned and took a deep breath. Yes, the only way is to find helpers. Chen Shang, are you willing to take the risk? Chen Shang immediately nodded his head. Of course I am willing, I am also a part of devil-killing divine palace, moreover Hell Devil Emperor is also my sworn enemy. When I first entered the super god restricted area, I met a few friends there, all of whom were close friends of life and death. They also promised me at the time that once I was in trouble, they would definitely help me out. However, I can't go there myself now, I can only let you notify them in my stead. Quote. Super God restricted area was an extremely terrifying place, and everyone in the hall was emotionally moved after hearing that. How do we find them? Of course, Chen Shang was not afraid of going to that place. Supreme Divine Palace's trial was so terrifying, but he was able to pass it, so the devil-killing heavenly god believed that Chen Shang would be able to complete it. The devil-killing heavenly god had always had this thought, but there was only one person who had a chance of entering the super god restricted area and finding his friends. The reason why he couldn't go there by himself was because once he left, the Hell Devil Emperor would launch a surprise attack and no one would be able to resist him. This is my token, give it to them and they will believe you. Devil-killing heavenly god passed a white jade tiger to Chen Shang. Where are they in super god restricted area? Chen Shang asked again. I don't know, I only know that they are still in super god restricted area. You have to find them as soon as possible, go to super god restricted area, this jade tiger will help you find them. The devil-killing heavenly god said, we have to be fast, we won't be able to hold on for long. Chen Shang nodded. After keeping the jade tiger, he suddenly heard an angry shout from outside. Chen Shang, get out here right now. Devil-killing divine city had been covered by the black clouds for many years, and now that the black clouds had dissipated, it meant that there was a ranker who was secretly dispersing the black clouds, and the person who was shouting outside was Feng Shen. Feng Shen was dressed in a big red robe, his handsome face was filled with anger and coldness. He held a big black machete in his hand, and floated outside the devil-killing divine palace with a murderous look on his face. This guy came so fast. Chen Shang looked at the tall and sturdy figure of the Feng Shen outside the window and muttered. What happened? When did you provoke this guy? The devil-killing heavenly god also frowned. Chen Shang should have just finished the trial, yet this Feng Shen was already here. I crippled his son. Who asked his son to be so arrogant? Just as Chen Shang finished speaking, a few more figures appeared outside. Devil-killing heavenly god's face was full of astonishment. He knew from a glance that the appearance of these pill gods definitely had something to do with Chen Shang. I'll go to super god restricted area first. Main heavenly god, we'll be troubling you guys on the outside. Chen Shang laughed and then teleported away. Just as devil-killing heavenly god wanted to curse a few words at Chen Shang, he realized that Chen Shang had already walked far away. Chen Shang is not here, why are you looking for him? Devil-killing heavenly god, Ren Tianyang and the others walked out of the divine palace with divine weapons in their hands, showing that they did not welcome the arrival of Feng Shen and the others. Feng Shen said angrily, I'm going to kill him. Quickly come out and accept your death. Dan God in blue costume said, he took away our 9 strange divine fruits, we want him to return them. The devil-killing heavenly god sneered a few times, so that's how it is, but he really isn't here. Even though he is a member of my devil-killing divine palace, you can't possibly destroy this crappy place of mine just because of him, right? Devil Slayer, you should be clear about your current situation, don't force me to help Hell Devil Emperor. How could he not be angry when his son's divine deity had been removed by Chen Shang? Devil-killing heavenly god asked indifferently, are you threatening me? Feng Shen said coldly, I'm only asking you to hand Chen Shang over, I won't make things difficult for you guys, I'll give you another chance. Devil-killing heavenly god took a deep breath and said expressionlessly, I already said that Chen Shang is not here. Even though I, the old Devil Slayer, was forced to such a state by Hell Devil Emperor, it does not mean that I am afraid of you. With that, devil-killing heavenly god's entire body flashed with a gold light, the powerful aura caused the ground to tremble, the wind to kick up and the anger to the skies turned into a burst of golden astral wind, roaring and wreaking havoc in all directions, setting off bursts of golden lightning. Even the god of fortune would not dare to act so arrogantly in front of me. Who do you think you are? Devil-killing heavenly god was furious. He turned into a bolt of lightning and suddenly appeared in front of Feng Shen. His withered hand that was filled with divine power was already tightly holding onto Feng Shen's throat. Although Feng Shen had long since been on guard, he was still unable to stop the devil-killing heavenly god's terrifying strength. Right now, he was like a little chick whose neck has been grabbed by someone, and simply had no strength to resist. They were all from the upper heavenly god, but the gap between them was so huge that it shocked the pill gods beside them. They had all heard of the power of the devil-killing heavenly god, but had never seen it with their own eyes. Feng Shen truly believed that he and devil-killing heavenly god were both upper heavenly goddess, and that devil-killing heavenly god had spent so much time and effort on them, so his vitality would definitely be greatly damaged. He never would have thought that he would be pinched so tightly that he couldn't even fart. Devil Slayer, that should be enough, right? A wave of cold air attacked, and a white ice dragon appeared in the distance. On the head of the dragon stood a youth. It was the god of fortune. The devil-killing heavenly god grabbed the god of fortune and threw him over. God of fortune, take care of your disciple. Feng Shen stood on top of the ice dragon, not even daring to look at devil-killing heavenly god.